You called everybody?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the SFM official pre-show. Joined here this morning by LZR Diablo and shortly by Accuracy. How you guys doing this morning?
Oh, this is live, isn't it?
It is. We're doing it live. Is there any
I
other
won't
way?
use a phrase that I was thinking of, but we'll continue.
Yeah.
Doing all right, Ted. Just got back to the house. I got my Dunkin' Donuts. Living up here in the Northeast, it is a staple of the culture.
Good man. Good man.
So I'll be ready
That's
to
a
go.
staple of your culture? We
Dunkin'
have that in the South. Uh-huh.
You may have it in the South, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, but New England runs on Dunkin'. Haven't you heard any of the advertising?
Atlanta runs on Dunkin'. We got billboards that say it, bud.
Wrong.
You're wrong.
I'm just telling you.
All right. Well,
Anyway.
So here on SFM official, we really do enjoy having a quality breakfast, which is why I myself personally have a glass of water.
Quality.
All right, so you're probably wondering why we're all here at this early hour in the morning. Today is the TORA 12 Hours of Sebring, a 12-hour race at Sebring hosted by TORA. And we'll be having two classes. We'll be having Proto Sport, which is kind of like your old Group 5 prototype cars, and then we're going to be having GT, which is some famous GT road cars that we've adapted for racing, some of which have a pretty strong racing heritage. So, Diablo, you yourself will be racing today, as am I, but you'll be in the GT car. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the car you'll be driving today?
All right, so yeah, the GT class today is literally a combination of pretty much anything and everything from the 60s, bring out your bell bottoms, counterculture, all of that sort of jazz. I'll be driving the Corvette Stingray 67, not the split window from 63, but just the 67 Stingray 427 L88, big engine in the front, loves to drink gas. It's a much heavier car than the other GT cars in the field. I think it's somewhere upwards of it's over a ton, but it's probably close to like 2,600 pounds. And some of these other cars are close to 1,600, depending on which one they are. It's a lot of fun to drive. It's nice and wide. It's stable. It accelerates. It's competing against cars like the 250 GTO, 3-liter V12 screaming beside you. You have the on pole, you have the Nissan 380 R380-2, or however you want to pronounce it. I guess it's got I think it's a 6-cylinder 2-liter, but it screams beside you. So it's definitely a combination of noises. For those that are familiar with listening to whether it be IMSA or any active race, any GT race of recent nature, you'll hear like the Ferraris go by, then you hear the Porsche go by, and then when you hear the Corvettes go by, you'll know because it just rumbles. It's even 60s to now, that has not changed.
Yeah, we're hearing from LZR Diablo this morning, talking about his Corvette Stingray and some other GT class competitors. Other man in the booth this morning, Accuracy, you yourself will not be racing today. However, you are no stranger to racing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your recent racing exploits while we get set up here?
Well, since we're at a TORA event, I figure I'll talk about my recent TORA racing exploits. Task Car, TORA's version of NASCAR. I compete in that. Basically, what was it, about 2 weeks ago, we had our first race of the season at Sonoma. Because of a couple bugs on Forza's end, we decided to delay Daytona. So Daytona will be the second race of the season coming up in a couple of weeks. Aside from that, racing in a bunch of Reddit racing series, Reddit Le Mans series. That'll be coming up, at the end of next week, Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of next week. I'll be driving the Dodge Viper ACR in that series. I'm really excited for the amount of racing that I'm going to be doing here very soon, because I think it's the most racing I've done in my life.
All right, so hearing from Ab this morning, no stranger to racing, but this will be one of the first times you'll hear him in the comms box here on TORA Competition. So welcome again to Ab, and thanks again for Diablo to agree to get up this morning and help us out with this.
Thank you for not making me do this alone.
man, doing comms alone, it just sucks.
Yeah,
because it's so much fun to have 2 or 3 people, because you kind of parlay off of different people within said chat. When you sit there by yourself, you're like, well, this person's in this place, and you wait about 30 seconds. Yeah, you sit there, you're like, well, all right, well, now this person's doing this, and you just there's an awkwardness to it, unless you're Hindi. Like, being alone does not work.
What?
Yeah.
90% of people.
Yeah, John Hyndaw is the man, the myth, the legend, in the most literal and figurative sense of the phrases. And as much as we'd love to have somebody of Hindy's caliber on our stream today, you're stuck with us. So
Well, I
to that
mean,
end, if you're just tuning in on Twitch, you'll notice we have a nice splash screen with a timer here. That's because the race won't actually start for another 25-ish minutes. So we're just doing a little bit of a pre-show here this morning. We'll be bringing you 12, hopefully uninterrupted hours of coverage today across the A lobby spread of competition. The race right now is broken down into two distinct sub races, A and B, both of which are competing against each other on the clock. What does that mean? What that means is that we've taken the top half of each class and stuck one in lobby A, one in lobby B. And to that end, the faster drivers in each class will be racing wheel to wheel, but they'll also be racing against the overall distance of the guys in lobby B. And it is not uncommon for a team in lobby B to finish very strongly in the race. We saw it last year at several of the TEC races with one of the LSEM cars. In another TEC round, Europa and Vanquish managed to win the race from C lobby. So it can definitely happen, but it is a little more uncommon. So we've got 11 cars each per class, and we'll bring up our starting grid closer to the start, but there are going to be 11 cars per class in A and then 10 each in B. We did have 11 in all classes. However, 2 teams did not submit their stints on time, and as such, they will not be racing. So sorry to see that happen, but it is one of those things. You got to get your paperwork done. So let's talk about our team that's going to be on pole in PS and A lobby. 2 goats and a lamb, which
oh,
if it
the
sounds like
best team name.
if it sounds like a silly name, it's because it is a silly name. But if you kind of do the Scooby Doo take the mask off, it's really a Jap Speed racing car because you got Mitch, Commando, and South. And Diablo,
South.
yeah, you know these guys pretty
South.
well. So let's jump straight
Yeah.
into South here, the man who discovered that the Ferrari was faster than the Ferrari.
Yeah. When I saw that Mitch, Commando, and South are going to be racing together, I saw that, I just went, uh-oh. Because especially South is really he's at home in those R class and S class, like these 60s prototype cars. So I already, they instantly went like, all right, these guys are gonna be the measuring stick to which everyone else is competing against. These guys are, yeah, like you said, that they were driving the Ferrari 330 P4, and they found that the BOP was a little bit off. They found the car was significantly quicker than the other 3 cars that we're going to be racing today: the Ford, the Porsche, and the Lola, the Sunoco Lola. I love that car. So BOP was adjusted. I believe was it Thursday, Wednesday? It was midweek.
It was Thursday.
I think there was a tire width taken off of each car, each side of the car, rather, one front,
Correct.
one rear. These guys, if you look at the times, these guys were a half. Each of these 3 qualified, mind you, within about a tenth of each other, a half second faster than anybody else in the field. Am I surprised by this? Not exactly, because these guys are some of the best at what they do. But for all 3 of them to be that close and to be a half second ahead of Roadrunner, who is one of the best drivers in these sorts of tuned cars, yikes. That's just I mean, he's in the Lola, to be fair, and he qualified early in the week, so maybe these guys had a few extra days to kind of put the time in to get the tuning in, and they knew what they were up against. But for those 3 guys to be kind of a good leg up on the rest of the field is I'm not surprised, but at the same time it's a testament to their skill.
Yeah, and Diablo is by no means calling anybody else slow at the top of either class. It's just that those 3 are just that much quicker. They're just really, really, really good at this.
Yeah, those 3 guys. Yeah, I mean, they're the people the pointy end of the field are not. Yeah, I mean, it's almost bad because you look at the times, you go like 55.7, 55.7, 55.8, 56.3, 56.9. You're going, whoa, those are big jumps. A second a lap. If you're doing, I don't know how many laps a prototype car is doing a stint, probably like 6, not under 70, but over 60, somewhere in there.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So a second, right? So if you're losing a second a lap, that's 60 seconds. So that's approximately.
It's about a mile and a half over a stint.
Yeah. Right. And that's just that's without any eruptions. That's without you making any mistakes. So these guys, starting up front. Barring a if someone could challenge them at the beginning of the race and maybe get in front of them, I think it would make it interesting. But if these guys are given clear track at the beginning of the race, good luck the rest of the prototype class. It's gonna be really hard to beat them.
Yeah. All right. So that's our little bit of a preview here for the leaders in the PS class in Lobby A. We'd also be remiss not to talk about the leaders in the GT class in Lobby A, so I'll do a little bit of that preview. We've got Sauber Zoom and FRF Solo with JSR Craviator. So this is another team with a silly name. It's Team Mandem. However, none of these drivers are actually on the same team.
Don't let them hear you say that's silly. I'll go back to my hole now.
Okay. Well, apparently I may get beat up later. But we should now point out that Zoom actually at one point was going to join JSR with the gamertag JSR Zoom, but he's now with Sauber, the Formula One team, in their esports division, which is pretty cool to have somebody like that racing here in at the Real TORA competition.
Bro, he was on JSR. What are you talking about?
I don't know what I'm talking about ever. This is why we have here the outfit.
Yeah, he was on JSR.
I'm just here for the silky smooth commentator voice. But all right, so we got Zoom, formerly JSR, racing with his former teammate in Craviator, who I believe set the fastest lap in the GT class in qualifying. Krav did, so he's going to be a driver to watch out for. And then we've got Solo out of Brazil, a driver that I don't think has actually raced on TORA before, but we know he's fast because I believe he did pretty well in the Forza RC. Solo did.
Yeah, he and I I met him when we went down to Mexico City, so I also competed at Forza RC. I made it in to the land by the skin of my teeth. Loved it. He did as well. When we were actually on stage competing in our group race, he was sitting to my left, and both of us kind of looked at each other and went, well, that's the worst that could happen. So
Yeah.
both of us, actually we were racing with South in that race. We all three of us ended up getting hit and taken out, and we didn't make it through the group stage, unfortunately. But we were in Mexico, which was cool. Enjoyed the sesh and all that sort of stuff. And he's a real cool guy. He had qualifying last night. He did really well. I had the party chat on mute because there was someone that was, I don't know, trying to eat their microphone or whatever, and it was kind of distracting.
As is tradition.
Yeah, as is tradition, and I made the mistake of when he came out through pit, he pit and then I pit, and then he was on a fast lap, but I was like 150, 200 feet in front of him. I was basically his rabbit, which was I realized it way too late. I braked on the back straight, but that's when he got his fastest lap. It was just like, damn it! I think he ran a 2:12, 3:2. It was only a tenth off of Krav. Yeah, he was motoring. After that, he just pulled off in turn 3. He's like, yeah, I'm done. I went, yep. And I tried to go back and beat his time, and I missed it by, I think, 3/100ths. So I was pretty bummed. I genuinely had pace for pole, and I just couldn't put it together.
All right. So that's a little bit of a Diablo preview here for the GT class leading car at the moment, Team Mandem. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So,
yeah, it's Mandem.
Yeah. So, Av, some of the drivers in this Stint 1, you yourself have raced against some quite recently. Care to share your thoughts on some of those competitors?
Okay, so if we're gonna talk about something like this, I gotta talk about you.
All right. That's always fun.
Yep, and then Floofy. A lot of people that I saw in last night's qualifying, and then anyway, I've raced against you guys off and on for the last 3 or so years, and I've seen the best of what you guys can do, and just it's great to be able to see you guys try to compete for wins today, especially for something as prestigious as the 12 hours to Sebring. Everybody's bad fast. The SFM guys bad fast. SVM guys bad fast. Everybody should be paying attention to what the SFM guys and the SVM guy or the
SVR
guys bring. Yeah, what they bring to the table and how much work you guys have put into this race.
And I'm kind of glad you mentioned SVR because there are a very large amount of the Solar Vision racing cars entered in today's race. We've got SVR Black, SVR Red, SVR Blue, SVR Purple, SVR Green, SVR Rainbow, and all of them are in A lobby. So
is there an SVR Chartreuse in there?
I think that may have been the next one.
Apricot.
Well, there was gray, but they had to withdraw at the last moment after qualifying. So
I mean, all the more power to them. They've got a whole slew of guys. I don't know how many teams they have. It's probably like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And if they're all in room one, I mean, cool. We've seen that sort of thing. HCR used to have that same sort of entry style where they would have a bunch of smaller teams, and a lot of them would be up towards this point of the field. Some of the drivers have maintained. I know one of the drivers that's competing today that I've talked to a fair amount is it used to be Grizzly. I think I'm gonna pronounce his name
Schneider.
wrong. It's Schneider. Yeah. I wasn't gonna use the SH there. I'm glad that you did. He used to go by HCR Grizzly. Nick he's a really cool guy. I think he's in the SVR Blacker. I think they're third on the grid in PS. He's a longtime Forza competitor, and I think he's gonna do really well. So it's good to see these guys out there and competing.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of drivers currently signed up in SVR cars that were on HCR up until a few weeks ago. We got No Mercy, Floofy, Snyder. Let's see who else is there. Solar himself started SVR months ago from HCR. So there's a lot of familiar faces with new faces. That didn't come out right, but you get the idea. A lot of people that you'll recognize, but you may not recognize the specific names.
No, you got it. It's all good. Yeah. It's all good neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah, go on. All
right, so we're about 10, 15 minutes away here from the start, so we'll be able to get you some nice moving pictures, as well as a couple of interesting stories that will make sense only when we have visuals for them. So about 10, 15 minutes away here. If there's anybody watching on our Twitch chat here at SFM Official, be sure to say hello, try to ask any questions. We'll answer them when appropriate. Hearing from iTime UK, Let's Go AMS. Ben confirming that there are 6 SVR cars, and
LCR Diablo.
You mean a million?
You mean a million?
It's like that Guns N' Roses song, but with much more family-friendly lyrics. They're 1 in a million, except there are 6 of them. Lightspeed now from LSCM the Butler, who will not be racing today, but did qualify for the Le Mans Esports final at Le Mans. So congrats to Butler again. A sometimes contributor to our streams. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes here until everything's all set up. We've got 22 cars that will be joining A Lobby for the racing, and we've got a pace car from Radiation Lewis, and that story we'll be bringing to you about 10 minutes. It's really cool, though.
I want to transition and talk about one of the cars that hasn't been mentioned at all that I think definitely should, and I think is in contention potentially for for a win. Podium definitely is a new AMS pair. You've got Huracan and Mead.
Yes.
Yeah, those guys. I've raced them against those guys a bunch of times, and they're both rather consistent. I think the qualifying pace, I'm not sure if they're showing their full pace. They're normally a little bit closer to the pointy end. I think they had like a 0.6 and a 13.0. I could be wrong. You have to check me on that. But both of those guys are veterans of the TORA community. I know that Huracan used to run EVR, and they recently just decided to close that team down. He's since joined AMS, which Mead had beat him to the punch. I don't know, a few months ago now. Both of these guys are in the Stingray as well as us. They're starting third, I think. Yeah, third or second.
They'll be rolling off third. That's the Eliana Motorsportan car.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I think there was already an Alien Motorsport car, and they just decided to add a couple of extra letters,
Correct.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we did as well, so it makes sense.
Yeah, they are in the vet, right? Like I didn't read that wrong.
No, they're in the Stingray.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I think that those guys have a real good shot of challenging. Like their qualifying results don't necessarily tell the whole story. I think that they've got a pretty good shot at it as well. You got Solar and no, that's another name I don't know. I know him as Marty. I used to know him as Vortex. Now it's is it Kaiichi? Keiichi? I don't know. It's a bunch of vowels and a couple of constants thrown.
We'll go with Kaiichi or something.
I think it's K, like a K car. So the K and then there's an extra I there, and it's throwing me for a loop. Is it
man.
Is it like skiing where you only say one I? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh man.
Yeah, he likes to
It's
change
not
his
a
gamer.
criticism. I'm sorry. I literally just don't know.
Yeah, he likes to change it up a little bit with his gamer tag just to keep us on our toes. He used to be HCR Vortex 9, then he was SVR Proper 12 with a 3 for the E for some reason, and now Kiaichi from Ireland. So
Yeah. And I tell you, he has been of all the people in the Forza community. Like I wouldn't call myself the old man, but I've been racing for a long time. But Marty has been racing just as long as me, if not even potentially a little bit more. I don't remember if he was on Forza 2 at all, but he was a name. He used to be a part of the famed and infamous, I guess, at TORA, the CQR team. Used to be Skills. Was his tag that he ran with, and that guy in the lower classes, touring cars, he was really really hard to beat. Still is. He's someone that's been a long time racer, and anytime that we race, it doesn't matter whether it's prototypes, touring cars, production cars, he's always at the front end of the field. He's a very versatile driver. And then you've got Solar, who also a very versatile driver, drives just about everything, normally at the front end of the field, puts time in. I was watching his qualifying yesterday, and I think that it seemed like on stream he's a little bit frustrated. I think he wanted a little bit more out of the car than he got. I mean, they're starting second on the grid.
He was really pushing for it in qualifying, and I think that was his downfall in Sector 3. He just kept running wide on his hot laps, going over the curbs. And it's not something that it's a criticism. It's just so easy to do here.
Yeah, I think with the running in the race itself, I think is a lot easier because you don't have to worry about all these off tracks. I mean, you have to be mindful of track limits, right? But the way that the track limits work on Forza now with the line, like everyone's going to be pushing right to the edge. And some of the track limits, like turn 1, turn 17, they're so sensitive to off tracks that it can get really frustrating when you're pushing just a little too much, and you just push just a little wide. Or better yet, when you're coming through the turn 3 through 5 complex, and you go through, you see your split time, you're down 2/10, and you just want to scream because I did that perfect, but it wasn't. The GT cars, they're not super super high powered, except for the Corvette, which is heavy, so it has all the extra power, but they don't, like, the wheel spin's pretty minimal, so it's all about hitting the apex. Because if you don't, you're dead, and you lose 0.3 of a second every time you do it. So it's about being. These cars are not known for being precise, but in the Forza setting, you have to be precise. If you're not, you're gonna lose time everywhere, and it's really frustrating.
And to that point, that's kind of what we're going to see here with regards to the Two Goats and a Lamb car and the Savage Squadron. Those guys are all known for being extremely precise with their driving, and you kind of saw that reflected in qualifying with Mitch Commando and South being just that extra chunk faster than everybody just from that precision that they were able to get. And you mentioned the track limits, Diablo. For qualifying, the drivers did have to keep within the Forza Motorsport 7 defined track limits, which are a little divergent from reality in two corners, 1 and 17. And this is when we mentioned that drivers can absolutely cut the ever-loving tarmac out of turn 1 and 17. You can go right up to the inside wall in turn 1, and you can go right up to both the inside and the outside wall in turn 17. So the first and last corners, drivers are going to be running a little bit wider. But there's some danger there. And Av, I think you can speak to the danger of the walls at turn 17, can't you?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Av. You could take this one here.
Yeah.
It sounds like
doing it live here in SFM
with the
Official.
walls.
Doing it live.
You have experience with these walls that you want to share with the rest of the group.
Why you gotta call me out like that?
Because you started speaking.
Well, you asked of me. I have experience hitting those walls. Like I've said this like in conversation with you, or really Darkster. I may not be a great race car driver, but I feel like I'm pretty good at everything else. So, me and turn 17 are not good friends. Why are we not good friends? Because suspension is, and Brad is talking about ask after about P Cars 2 walls. I don't want to go into that right now either.
You hate to see it.
The moment the back end comes around going into turn 17, Or, I just forget to brake and straight to the wall I go. Or I do manage to brake, but, then just spin around. I'm a lot around turn 17. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Bring me on board.
Okay, okay, I'll take it for you. It's okay.
I
You've
just
got it.
realized that intro put you on the back foot there, and I apologize for that.
Yeah,
That was not my intention at all.
Thanks, Dark. Thank you so much.
All right, well, I think we're close enough now to where we can start the broadcast proper. So welcome to SFM Official here for the TORA 12 Hours of Sebring, a 12-hour race at Sebring, hosted by TORA. I'm your host for Stint 1, SFM Darkster, joined in the booth by LZR Diablo and Avcracy, and we're going to show you a beautiful track map created by TORA's newest media staff member, THR Flat. Check this thing out. So we just talked about turn 1 and turn 17, and Diablo, I believe you were going to add some insights here to turn 17, was it?
Yeah. Knock on wood. There's a wall next to me there. I'm sure there's a beam in there. Yeah, 17. This is probably I don't want to go out and say this is the hardest turn because in GT it probably is not. In prototype it definitely is because a lot of the weight in those cars. You have some mid-engine cars that they're heavy in the back. But to use almost a cliche phrase, you gotta respect the bumps, man. When you dive into 17, it's the fastest part. It's the fastest part of the track, and it's a long sweeping corner that tightens up and then loosens back out. Think of dirt rally where you have like a 3 right tightens and it opens on exit. You're diving the car in, so you're turning and braking. You have to turn and brake at the same time, or you can try to brake, let off the brake, go straight, then try to brake again. You have to get your line right. It's so easy in the faster cars to get on the brakes, and then all of a sudden the rear end kicks out when you start hitting the chattering bumps on entry to the apex of Sunset Bend. That's turn 17, and then you think, oh wow, I survived the entry. Let's try to get out of this corner. Not so fast. The bumps on exit are just as bad, if not worse. And the problem that you have is on the outside of this track, there is a magnificent tire wall there. If you hit that tire wall, you either do one of two things. You pretty much stop. You sometimes get lucky, and you just kind of bounce, but you get slowed down a lot. Number 2, you hit the wall, and it just catapults your car into about 13 pirouettes. Hopefully you're facing the pit lane at that point. You don't have to go around an entire lap with damage. Or C, you hit the tire wall, the tires go flying, you go flying, and then everyone else hits those tires and you, and it looks more like Wreckfest. It's definitely, the tire wall will be hitting the race by someone at some point, and the problem after that, when the tires get locked on the track, we don't have these magnificent marshals to go pick the tires up or the ability to call a caution. So people have to watch out for these tires on track.
Yeah, and you mentioned somebody picking up the tires. One of the other smaller Forza leagues called Gascar invented their own race marshal named Teeter, who goes around and collects various tire debris by taking control of everybody's cars under a staged yellow to move them off to the side. We can't do that here because everything is scored against each lobby, and it would be pretty much impossible to coordinate. So it's just an extra little element of danger that will probably get worse as it goes.
Yeah, it's always what ends up happening. It's almost Forza doesn't feature any sort of track degradation. There's no rubber being thrown down, but in this case, actually, rubber is being thrown down just a lot more than you're anticipating. If you watch the IMSA or the WEC race at Sebring, you noticed on the inside, towards the pit wall on the right hand side, there was a ton of loose rubber being thrown down by the cars. What'll happen during the race if someone hits the tire wall, whether it be actually hitting it or lagging, the tires get strewn about, what'll happen is that the rubber tires will be around where you hit, and then they'll eventually be dragged up towards the finish line, but you'll notice that people that drive through will make a path. And after a few laps, you'll see that everyone's hitting a specific path to get through. Sometimes it's off the racing line because they don't want to hit the tires, but it's fun to watch. You'll see it in the broadcast, I'm sure.
Yeah, those tires really do create some creative passing lines as well, because sometimes the apex will have a tire on it, and if you avoid the apex, you might be going faster than if you hit the tire. Alright, so we're just a few moments away here from the start, and I believe that now would be the appropriate time to mention our amazing safety car story here by TORA staff member Radiation Lewis. So what you guys should be seeing now is the scrolling starting grid on top, as well as the Forza Motorsport 7 party lobby. So what you're looking at here is a Porsche 906 being driven by staff member Radiation Lewis. And a couple years ago, Lewis's uncle, his uncle Chris, sadly passed away. And he was a big fan of Porsche and really specifically the 906. So Lewis often goes to Sebring, and one of his friends owns a 906, and he was able to give his uncle a hot lap, so to speak, in a 906 posthumously. And the livery on that car was almost the exact same livery as what's on Lewis's car right here, the 130 906 with the red bonnet. So we'll be riding on board with Lewis for the pace lap, and we'll be doing a minute of silence as well in memory of his uncle Chris, who was a huge fan of Sebring and the 906. And yeah. So that's going to be our start to stint 1 here. A little bit of a remembrance type of deal. And once again, you're watching the TORA 12 Hours of Sebring here on SFM Official. Commentators will be myself, SFM Darkster, joined by LZR Diablo and Afrasy. All right, guys. So I bet you probably were expecting a bit of a happier note there, but this is something that we've been excited to do for Lewis for a few weeks now, and it's really, I think, a touching tribute to a great man in his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. You know, I saw when we posted this. I think it might have been on the Tora Facebook group. That the fact that he had given his uncle, he had taken the urn and actually done a lap in this car, like that's, I mean that yeah, not to be grim on a Saturday morning just before a race. If there's ever a moment, eventually, we meet the dirt, and if I were to do that, that kind of gives me inspiration. I'd love to, that's a cool way out, I guess. That's yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know how to put it to words, because it's kind of, I wouldn't say awkward, or it's not really the word, but it's such a unique situation, and to honor his uncle that way is really cool. It's unfortunate that the 906 was not able to be used for this race. It was, I will make a mention, it was planned to be, but we found that the car, compared to the others, was drastically overpowered, and there wasn't really much you could do to fix the car other than to just nix it off the list. So it's unfortunate that this car is not able to be run as an actual competitor, but getting its usage here in as a safety car, I think, is a really fitting tribute. So kudos for Lewis for that, and also to the TORA staff to let that happen. Unfortunately, can't put any safety lights on it, as you would traditionally see, and we won't see Ben in a Camaro drifting around. It's kind of disappointing. Ben's racing today, which is cool. He's racing with me, so it's gonna be it's gonna be good.
You had to get a shameless plug in there, didn't you?
No, it is not shameless. I'm gladly plugging Ben.
Yeah, Ben is going to be racing with Diablo in the Sunray Stingray, I believe is the name that you guys came up with.
Yeah,
so we'll see that car shortly.
It's based on the is it the 67 or 69? I forget which year now. I think it's the correct car with the correct paint that won Sebring. It's pretty cool. So it's myself, Ben. We've also got a special appearance from Raceboy 77. He is going to be racing in the 2nd and 4th stints, I believe. No, I'm crap. No, I don't remember which stints are going to. No, actually, is he in the car first? No, I think he's racing right now.
Yeah, he should be in there now.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Ben. Yeah, that's right. Ben is in 2 and 5. So Ben will be taking over from Evan after this, and I won't be getting in the car until stints 4 and 6. So I'll be closing it out. It's really cool to be racing with Ben again. I've done this a few times, racing with him. We've teamed up with Harmonic before and done different events. We tried to get up on the podium. It's definitely a fun time. And to have Evan, kind of, carry the torch on this one, and to do the damn thing, it's pretty cool. Evan doesn't get a chance to really race so much. He's done a little bit of Le Mans esports, and as last year he served as the Forza RC tournament director, so he didn't obviously he can't compete in his own series. So having him on track, he's one of the best. He's one of the best in the biz, and people seem to forget that. And hopefully today,
And to kind of tie onto that, back in the day, I used to race with him in the Forza Sports Car series, which I think that's where he really got his start in league racing. And he was always so dominant then. It's incredible to see what he's done now, and I'm happy to see.
FSCS, the series
Yeah.
that Prep ran.
Yeah.
You ran that?
Yeah, Predator
No.
USMC. Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude, I ran it a few times.
Yep, I ran that for a couple of years. I didn't do very well, but I still ran it.
That was such a weird series. Like all of it, like if you want to be persnickety about rules, like Ted, if you think you're bad, like Pred is.
Oh, Pred was so much worse.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Not to crap on him. I mean, he's had some stuff that's happened to him, but like he ran this series where like every single race was reviewed under his rule, under replay, and people would get penalties for like the most just asinine things. So yeah, and then the series just like magically died. But yeah, sorry, that's a really random tangent. But yeah, just going back to the point that Evan, Raceboy, he's been around racing for a very long time. YouTube personality, streamer personality. It's really cool to have him in the car, and I don't think I've actually raced a team race with him before, so this is pretty cool for me.
All right, so I've just been informed that we are waiting on one more person to rejoin the race lobby. He's having some engine issues, metaphorically. So as soon as he's able to join, they will be getting started. And to that end, we will be reading off the starting grid for Stint 1 of today's race, which you'll also see scrolling on top a little bit behind what I'm saying. So in the PS class, we've got Two Goats and a Lamb, Williams Mitch, in first position. Second place, Savage Squadron with Mellish of TUS. Third, SVR Black, SVR Floofy. Fourth, Royal Phoenix Motorsports, which is actually AMR, with PXM Karts, formerly of HCCR. Fifth, we've got LSEM and Scrubsco Racing Team with LSEM Yuko. Then we've got SVR Sparks for SVR Red. Terminator, XXT3M1N80RXX, Terminator, for SFM Glickenhaus. SVR Blue is up with SVR Incinerate. Then we've got MRT Dadbod and Turismo83 for my car, SFM Competizione. And rounding out PS, we've got Team LCR PS. Now onto the GTs, we've got Team Mandem with Sauber Zoom, who's one of the drivers still connecting. Second position, SVR Purple, that's going to be Solar. Then we've got Mead, who's the lobby host today for Eliana Motorsportana. Sunray Stingray, Diablo's car, Raceboy77 is going to start it off. Next, we've got GRT Max Stream driving for AMS. Then it's LSEM International with driver Big Man. Then we have AMR Who with AMR Aftermath. MNR Scoops driving the MNR BTS1 car, which is another really cool livery we'll show you in a moment. Then SVR Green, Salty Bonkos stepping in for Wolfpack. And then SFM Corsa Martini, my team's other car in A-Lobby. Ace Captain Slow driving that car. And rounding out the field, SVR Max in SVR Rainbow. And we should be starting any second now, guys. Sorry for the delay. It's out of our hands here. But let's talk about the MNR car, rather. I believe this is their first appearance in A-Lobby, so excellent work by those drivers to get a good qualifying run in. And you'll notice on their car there are some phrases, for example, live health, mental health, live, things of encouragement. They're running a car with the acronym Break the Stigma, or BTS, the car being for mental health awareness. And also on that car is the phone number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline for the United Kingdom. So really great to see MNR driving for a cause here. And hopefully they can put in some good stints, because we've seen some good stuff from them before in B-Lobby, but this is kind of their chance to shine here in A, also in Stingray. And again, we should be starting any second now, so I do apologize for the delay. Alright, so it looks like one driver is struggling to connect to the, what do you call it? Lobby, and then another driver is struggling to get on the radio here, so we'll give them a moment.
It wouldn't be a 12 or 24 hour race without some sort of issue.
I mean, as is tradition, there's always something.
Exactly. We can't hold it against them, but it just always happens that way.
Yeah, and we do have a reset between stints 3 and 4, where no drivers are permitted to drive 3 and 4. They have to do one or the other, and that's just so we can try to get back on time here. So we are still waiting here at the TORA 12 Hours of Sebring. So why don't we go through and look at some of the liveries on the starting grid. So here's the pace car that we've mentioned before in memory of Lewis's Uncle Chris. In second, here's the Two Goats and a Lamb Ferrari. It's got red numbers on it, which is a bit unusual. I don't think they were technically meant to do that, but I don't think we wrote it down, so props to Commando for finding that in the rulebook. Alright, so after him we've got Mellish in the Savage Squadron. Not entirely sure what squadron they're referring to there, but it is a nice looking car. Alright, here's the SVR Black car, Patron, painted by Schneider. Looks like they're also using the wrong number ball, so I'll have to go and smack Schneider later on in the day.
Close enough. Ish.
Yeah,
Close
it's
enough.
close enough, yeah. But
I mean, that plate's really big. The one on Savage Squadron, you need a microscope to see.
that is true.
It
Alright.
balances out. Next page.
It's just a little tiny thing in there. Alright, so then we've got the Phoenix AMR car painted by Dr. Deluxe. Always love these cars. Nice gold and blue accents there. Number 69.
Nice.
Nice.
LSEM Yuko painted the LSEM cars, one of which had to withdraw, but the one that's still here is a throwback to a 1960s Porsche 917 that raced at the Nürburgring. He's just adapted it to the FIA standard red, white, black color scheme.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if he was the one that did it, but a few years ago, when Tora had the TEC, I think it was Tora, maybe it was the Turn series. They had the purple, like the psychedelic variant on the 919. It was so cool looking. So like to see them use that design, which I think is the original one. The psychedelic one came after. Like it's kind of just a cool little history tidbit. Carry on. I'm still old.
All right, so hearing that there is some additional issues occurring with the radio systems here, so we're gonna have to get started here if people aren't able to join in sooner than later. So continuing on with our little preview here, SVR Sparks, one of the SVR cars. I'm not sure which color it's supposed to be because it doesn't seem like they've adhered to their naming convention for their colors. This is the number 9.
That's got to be the rainbow car. It's got to be. If it's not, then like
It's
I don't
actually the red car, believe it or not.
What?
That's red.
Who?
Yep, I can't say that.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about.
All right,
I'm calling Bob Ross.
All right, so we're gonna give them a 2-minute timer here to get going, just so we can get this race underway. Again, we do apologize for the delay. It's totally out of our control here, but sometimes you do have to deal with extenuating circumstances. So next car on our beautiful livery preview is the SFM Glickenhaus machine. The Glickenhaus SGC001 was loosely styled off of the Ferrari 330. So as a quasi-tribute, SFM decided to paint the Ferrari 330 like the Glickenhaus. So that's what you're looking at here. Nice black car. SVR Incinerate driving for SVR Rainbow, believe it or not, the white car. They've got Pirelli tires on that machine. I don't think Pirelli participated at Sebring in the 60s, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's just a classic race. Gotta have modern tires.
All right, so we're trying to get everybody back in here. All right, so after him, we've got MRT Dadbod. This is his first race on TORA, driving for McLeod, not MacLeod. It is McLeod. And they have 2 teams in the race, Holdfast, which you're looking at now, and then just McLeod Racing Team, which is not here, but they are in the second lobby. So hopefully they can also have a good run. And if you are
the English language, man.
You really
gotta
do.
love the English language. I mean, look at all those letters.
Yeah, and
It's not Polish.
talking about B Lobby, if you want to check out the B Lobby stream, Dino Dad Shadow is actually going to be doing stints 1 and 2 in B Lobby on his channel, so check him out. And if you're looking for another A Lobby stream, check out SVR Solar. He's also going to be doing a large portion of the race. And the car we're looking at now is actually my car for the next 2 stints, SFM Competizione Martini. I painted this one. A little bit of a different take on the Martini stripe. Just wanted to have it be a little more curvy.
You did well.
Thank
you
you.
did well on this.
I appreciate
worked
that.
very well.
All right, and then the final car in the lobby for PS is LCR, and it looks like we are going to be loading the track now, I think. Hopefully. Alright, so LCR is driving the Porsche 917, and they've got Leopard in this car right now. I do believe this is also his first TORA race. Alright, so as soon as Mead is able to get things rolling here, we will be bringing you some racing action. So, alright, continuing on until that is ready, we have Zoom here in the Many Flames car, painted by AMR the Hulk, Jacob, an artist on Twitter, a very well-known artist in the Forza community.
Right. Let's see. What's the AMS car paint? Is that a team paint or do they do something retro? I feel like they probably did a team paint.
We'll see it in a second, but here's the SVR purple car, which is actually red. Oh, SVR. All right.
I can't.
There's
anyone that knows me, that's been in party chat with me, knows that I'm a rather sarcastic person. I'm not intentionally mean,
yeah.
by any stretch. But sometimes it's just like, come on, man, like pick a color.
Yeah. All right. So there's the AMS car, and
Okay, it's retro. I like it.
So apparently AMR Aftermath is having significant issues connecting, but there's nothing posted on the race control thread, so the instruction has been passed on to the lobby host to get things rolling here. So hopefully he does that.
It seems for Helios has commented. I see we're on TORA time again. That's a big oof,
Yeah.
and somewhat right.
Oh. All right. Well, it looks like the AMR driver did manage to get in at the last possible second here. He must have been discussing that with Mead. So
Michael Smells.
that is his
What?
name. Yep.
What?
Oh, and he's
Actual
gone because he's not even in this race. So that is not who that was. I do apologize.
What
Oh
if
wait,
it
no,
wasn't?
that actually was him, but I didn't
Oh
pick him.
my
So
lord!
Okay, that could have got real bad.
I don't know what's going on here.
Well, when you have a 24-person lobby, there's bound to be someone that's can't connect. I remember the good old days. Anyone remember the good old days in like Forza 3 when you have like 8? No, Forza 3 was up to 16.
Yeah,
Forza.
16.
Yeah, right. I remember most of the league racing I used to do. It was always locked off to about 12 people.
Yep.
Because anytime you got over that stuff. See, I did good there not to say a bad word. Stuff would just happen that you really could not explain. You have connection issues. People would just, kind of like do whatever. And it appears that the problems that used to plague this game way back in the day
Maybe
have
coming
returned.
again.
Yeah, because that used to happen. You go to connect, the thing would spin, and then you kick it out.
Yep. All right. Well, it is now approaching near 20 minutes past, so we do really need to get this started. Do sympathize with AMR, but this is probably going to be the last chance for Michael Smelfs to get connected. And if he ends up having to disconnect, yeah, there he goes. So we can only wait so long. We do have 5 more stints to run here, so hopefully we can get going now. The instruction has been passed along. Alright, so hearing that they will be loading the track now, as soon as Mead is able to do that. There is occasionally a technical issue on the host side. And once again, if you're just joining us on Twitch, you're watching the TORA 12 Hours of Sebring. Commentators will be myself, SFM Darkser, joined in the booth for this stint by Avcracy and LZR Diablo. You'll be hearing from both of them in Stint 2 as well, but not from me, because I will be driving Stints 2 and 3 as a double. So we'll also be joined later on in this stint by Floodman11 out of Australia. And for some additional commentators throughout the event, including Kiwi Chris and Big Ben as well. So we are now loading into the race after a short delay. We do apologize. So we're going to ride on board with Radiation Lewis with that minute of silence for the beginning of this event. So thanks again for joining us here for one of the hardest events on Forza Motorsport 7, and we're going to hope to bring you a great half day of racing. So we got, all right, moment of silence for Lewis's Uncle Chris. May he rest in peace. Alright, so we are about halfway through the pace lap of Stint 1 for A Lobby here at the 12 Hours of Sebring, joined again in the booth by Diablo and Avcracy. You guys looking forward to this?
Oh my god, absolutely.
No.
It's not even a question.
Oh.
Alright, so it looks like Lewis is absolutely thrashing that pace car right now. You kind of have to, because it's not the fastest of cars here. It's a 906, but considering what's behind him, he's still got to put his foot down to get through those corners.
Yeah, the prototype cars are considerably faster than that. I mean, you've got the 906 was probably weighs close to, it's definitely under a ton. You know, maybe 250 horsepower. The cars right behind him, you know, close to, you know, some up closer to 600. You know, closer to 500 really. You know, those cars absolutely scream. And once that pace car gets out of the way, this is going to be these guys are going to rocket down into turn 1.
And there will be a slight black screen when Lewis exits the race. We're going to ride on board with SVR Floofy, and Av's going to take us to the line. Give it away, Av. Or you know what to do.
I got the idea. Here they come, coming into turn 17.
They go with the
And
line.
the TORA 12 Hours of Sebring is green.
Good start there for Mellish on the outside, using that Lola's acceleration against Mitch, who's going to get the better run in turn 1.
Ooh, is he going to hold her on the outside, though? I think he's going to touch the grass.
They touch already.
Boy. There's a lot of bumping already.
Ricky
Mellish
Craven.
Hold her on the outside. Oh, I don't think this is going to work, though. Yeah, he's going to have to tuck the line here. Yep. Yeah, Mitch held the line up. He's going to have to do that. Now, Mitch, all he has to do is just drive away, because I don't think Mellish. Oh no! Look at that Lola go.
Yeah, if he can keep him in drafting range through the end of the first or second lap, he's got a chance. But he's thrown through the dive.
Oh, dive bomb.
The first dive bomb of the day. Mellish on Mitch. He's not going to get the pass done, but he is going to rub again, and that's going to give Floofy some pause, because he's going to try to pass Mellish now on the inside.
Oh, what are we doing here, boys?
So hard on lap 1.
And I'm 12-hour race.
Oh, there's been contact already. Mitch has been hit by Floofy and by Mellish, but it doesn't seem to have slowed him down at all. So Mitch is now your leader by a couple car lengths. That's probably all she wrote, folks.
I don't think it's over yet.
I mean,
barring mistakes, I think Mitch is going to use this time to say, he's going to do the full Roadrunner effect and just try to disappear.
the Roadrunner effect being, of course, Williams Roadrunner.
No, I meant the cartoon.
All right, well, I can never tell with you, Diablo. You're a man of many phrases.
Yes, I am.
All right, we can see here the track limits that we were mentioning earlier. Floofy almost running afoul of turn 16, but he did manage to keep it barely on there. Hearing from Ben that in the GT side of things, Mead has actually leapfrogged Zoom and taken the lead in his Corvette, and that is the case as he cuts the track. You can't do that too many times there, Rich. So, Zoom, however, is going to get a much better run out of 16 onto the back straight, and he's going to probably rocket past for the lead here. Sauber Zoom.
I don't know. That Corvette's got some legs. I would not count that Corvette up for pulling it down at the end of the straight. The Nissan has acceleration, but the Corvette, being heavier, bigger engine, pulls towards the end of the back straight.
Yeah.
See?
Yep.
See?
Here's Race Boy.
Race Boy.
Come on, Evan.
Oh. All right, so Mead's going to get a little bit loose there. And he's going to...
I'm super biased. I don't care. Let's go.
All right,
in a second.
So Mead is going to fall from... he went from third to first to third, so that's honestly a pretty good start there, staying in the podium spots. Zoom's going to take the lead, but let's jump back up now to that first battle with Mellish, Mitch, and Floofy. And it looks like Mellish is almost going to hook Mitch into the hairpin there. That's a bold move.
They're fighting so hard on lap 2.
I mean, I don't know what you were expecting.
Mellish is scrappy. Mellish is scrappy. He will try to claw his way into position. Not a bad. He's a hard racer. He's a very, very hard racer. So, and this is the time to push. You can't. With Mitch being as fast as he is and Mellish having, his, I don't know what his outright pace is. He qualified with a 56.9. He has to push. He has to try to make Mitch uncomfortable and make a mistake so he can stay with him. Because if he lets him hot lap, he's going to disappear. Everyone knows that. Yeah. So this is, this is the play by Mellish. He has to push him right now. If he doesn't, the stint's done.
And we're not insinuating that Mellish is slow, because he's obviously not. It's just Mitch is just that little extra bit faster in these cars at the moment. Just have to keep him in range.
I mean, he finished third, at every Forza RC event this year, whether it be, I don't remember how he finished at the Invitational, but at the Series 1 and 2 playoffs and at the World Final in London, he finished third. He's one of, you can say he's the third fastest Forza driver in game.
And we've got a crazy battle here in GT. Maxstream and Solar have both gotten around me. Not sure what happened there because we were watching the prototype battle, but there is a gaggle of cars here in GT. Very close.
Mead with a big...
Is Mead's car broken?
Sliding.
Let's see what we got here.
No, I think he just, it looked like he just got a little sandwich.
We lost somebody. That was probably Lewis. Oh, no, we're down to 21. So it looks like after all of that, Michael Smelfs has actually disconnected from the race, so that is unfortunate for Team AMR.
What happened to Race Boy there? He just slowed on the back straight?
He may have been returning a spot that he may have cut the track to get. Just speculation here.
Okay, yeah, it was I looked up at the screen and all of a sudden he just was, just kind of coasting on the back straight. I mean, it's fine. It was just kind of strange. We didn't see it. We were watching the prototype, so we didn't see what had happened. So anything could have happened there.
Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like he's good now. So he may have just been giving a spot back, or maybe felt bad about that earlier pass on Mead. Who knows? But as much as these guys love to race each other hard, they also try to race each other clean, and you will see that through the race. Drivers will give spots back if they use too much of the track to take the spot. Alright, so Family Dude is now confirming that Raceboy did give the place Mac because he didn't move Mead out of the way to take the spot.
There we
It's
go.
just
Okay.
good sportsmanship.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen from Raceboy in the, what do you call it, the FRC. We've seen it in the FAF Canadian Motorsport Challenge, which he actually won for LZR. Congrats again, Diablo.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, Evan last year, they had a PFAF event for GT Sport, and he never even played GT Sport, and he just went to the event, the live event, and he got third, which is pretty cool. And then this year they decided to have a Forza race, and it was one of those. I mean, it's not even a question. Evan is definitely the fastest Forza player in Canada, so this was kind of a shoe, and he was able to work with Lazarus for that event. He got a kind of a one-off thing. It was pretty cool. to get that, especially because Lazarus is actually, most people may or may not know, this is actually based out of Toronto. So to get a Canadian twin on Canadian soil in a Forza event is pretty cool.
And not to cut you off there, but just jumping over to Terminator, he started it in 7th position for the SFM Glickenhaus, but he's fallen back a few spots off the start here, trailing Turismo now, so the 2 SFM cars are running one after another, but MRT Dadbod has been flirting with that tire wall, I've been told, and it looks like he's giving Terminator a run for his money right now.
Ooh, Savage Dive Bomb! Everyone just, that's going to be the name of the game. It's going to be the name of the game in these cars. They're so fast in the straights, and then they get the corners, and they kind of... They stack up a little bit. I would turn 7 and even into turn 2, as we just saw, is going to be a good place to pass because these cars, it's so easy to miss the apex of this turn. I mean, look at that. You've got it's the Glickenhaus car. He missed the apex a little bit. Terminator. He missed the apex a little bit there. It's so easy to do with these.
And just talking about that apex speed again, those little tiny mistakes really do add up because we've just started the stint and you can already see there's 4 really distinct packs in PS. We've got the top 3, Yuko's all by himself with Karts, and then we've got Incinerate, Sparks together, and then jump back a ways to Turismo, Terminator, Dadbod, and Leopard. And these guys are all going really fast. It's just that relentless pace of those guys up front. They're going to be doing those 55, 56s every single lap of this race. And that's going to add up after a while. Jumping on board with Mellish again here. You can see Mitch is still kind of within dive bomb range if you're really ambitious. Not that I would know anything about that.
Bro, that's
really
that ain't range.
Know anything about that.
There's dive bomb range and there's missile lock range. That's a missile lock. The only way you're making a pass here is if you broadside them like you're playing Battleship. Like that's not gonna pan out.
Yeah, we'll see what Mellish is capable of doing here into turn 7. But Diablo does have a point. It would not be smart to try a pass from this distance. People will do it though, but it wouldn't be smart.
To be dumb?
Yep.
No, I think right now, Kudo, in the chat, mentioned that he helped retune that Lola, and Mellish is much more up to snuff than he was. His qualifying pace is not indicative of his pace now, which is really cool to see. I was worried looking at the results that it was going to be a bit of a runaway, but if these guys, I know Roadrunner is one of the very in-tune cars. He's one of the very best tuners in game. I mean, I never like to call someone the best at anything, but in terms of like a top 3, I mean, I definitely throw him in there. It doesn't matter what car he's in. The tune that he comes up with tends to be one of the very best. So it's not a surprise to me that they found a bunch of extra time in this Lola for themselves against the onslaught of the Ferrari 330 P4.
All right,
even if the Ferrari was slowed down.
And credit to JSR South, he was the racer that discovered the issue, and he's in the Ferrari, so he told us anyway, we were able to fix it, so huge thank you to JSR South for his transparency. And his teammate's doing pretty good right now. Mitch is leading the race. But it looks like we've got a huge battle in the GT class right now. Oh, it looks like there may have been an issue for Yuko. He's jumped way far back in the field. Perhaps that might be an early pit stop?
I mean,
early pit stop.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, what we haven't seen come up yet, is pit stop strategy. All 3 of these cars, I don't think this was mentioned even in the pre-race, all classes of car need to be doing 3 pit stops during the race. And I don't know the fuel mileage of the prototype cars, to be fair, but I know in GT that if you want to just go flat out in each stint, I think the minimum number of stops you would do is 2. I think the Corvette's the worst on fuel, no surprise, big block V8. But the Nissan that Zoom is, in the Mando team is running, which is currently pulling away pretty significantly. That car will do like 40 laps on a stint on fuel. I don't know about tires, but it's a fuel sipper.
Yeah, most of those GT cars can comfortably do a stint on 2 stints because we're only racing for an hour 40 instead of 2 hours, and the PS cars can actually get away with 1 stop in some cases. So the 3 stops is really just a strategy thing. It's to force the drivers to take a guess as to when they can pit, because you can get them all done early and just go to the end, but if you crash, you're then going to take an extra pit stop and lose another mile.
I just want to give a shout out here to someone who likes to watch these streams that doesn't actually race. Brain Damage. You know, he talks about Roadrunner, this is your moment. Now it's yours!
Oh my goodness!
Now
Sorry
it's
to cut you off
yours.
there, Diablo, but Raceboy just full send there on Mead and Max Stream. He's going to get Max, but he's not going to get Mead yet, but he's going to be on the correct line going into second 2. That was a crazy move from Raceboy.
Yes, it was. A veteran of the game. Veteran of the game.
My lord.
Now, if I had been doing that, everybody would have crashed just then, so props to Evan Raceboy for pulling that off. He's trying to go for the outside on Mead just to force him to slow down a little. Not going to work.
No, Mead's going to close that position off.
Yep, and that's going to let Max back through on the left, but he's going to be on the wrong line for the exit.
Nah, Evan's got this on the exit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only the one thing I will like to see when I eventually get the car. I'm kind of chomping at the bit here. I haven't done an enduro. Actually, the last enduro I did, and again, I need to find the the beam that's in the wall beside me here. The last race that I did or attempted to do was last year's 12 Hours of Sebring when we had arguably the winning team in prototype, and I lagged out and spoiled their chances. I think we might have ended up like 3rd or 4th overall. I think we clawed back for a podium. Maybe it was 4th. I don't remember off the top of my head now. But it was really disappointing. So I'm hoping that this goes better. I have a little bit better internet connection now, so we'll go for it. And see, it looks like Raceboy's gotten around the GRT cars. Is it a German racing team or
German racing team? Yes. That is a team formed from the ashes of Team German Performance Racing and half AMS guys. And sorry to interrupt you there, but it looks like we're going to be getting some interclass traffic now. Mitch is catching the back of the GT field. He's going to deal with Big Man first, which tells me that he's already passed 2 people. He's passed SVR Max and M&R Scoops.
Let's ride on board with this because the one thing that I will... Yeah, this is going to be a lot because these cars are neither of them good in the corners. That's the thing. So
Big Man's already been dispatched, so we'll go to Mitch here just to see his perspective. Sorry to cut you off again.
No, it's so easy to as a GT car when you see a PS car pass you into 17. It's so easy to follow their line. I did in qualifying 3 or 4 times. Oh, savage!
Okay, that's what we're talking about with those track limits. You can really die in a hurry there. I did it in TEC Suzuka in the R18. Mitch almost did it in the 330 just now.
He's clenched. That's a little bit of clench. That's a little clench moment there. Hey, he didn't pull your rope, but he didn't actually hit.
The chat is blowing up about that.
Oh,
wow.
That was an amazing move there from Mitch, but not something that you want to do every lap. Now he's going to have to deal with Max Stream.
He's going to have to wait.
He's got him there.
He's going to have to wait.
All right, so now he's got Raceboy and me on the straight. He'll easily pick them off before the hairpin. Goodbye. And it's not that the GT guys are slow, it's just these acceleration on these PS cars is insane. They only weigh like 1,600 pounds.
Yeah, it's actually using these cars as using these cars as a prototype versus the GT. Where was that GT car going? Anyway,
Just getting out of the way. It's solar. Being cautious.
Yeah. Anyway. So, using these cars is interesting because they're so much faster on the straights. Normally you have problems with GT and prototype cars, not when you're using, not like the LMP1 cars that are all-wheel drive and accelerate like Banshees, but when you have GT cars and say like your more traditional like LMP2 style or like rear-wheel drive cars, it's a bit of a struggle because they don't accelerate out of the turns so well. Oops, Zoom just decides to let Mitch go. Former teammate and compatriot.
Oh, not Mellish, though.
Holy! I don't think he knew he was there. I think Mellish just said, "All right, if you want to break, I'm going to take this opportunity."
So the PS and GT guys cannot actually talk to each other during the race. They can only talk to within their own class. So in some other events, all the racers have the same radio channel. Not the case here. So Zoom definitely had no idea Mellish was there.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's hard. I have more experience lately racing in the prototype cars, so you have to, you just make a move around, the other. You just make a move. You just kind of plan it out. And when you're racing against newer drivers, sometimes it's tough because you can't predict their lines. But this time I'm gonna be racing as a GT, and I don't remember the last time that I raced in the lower class enduro. I think it might have been. I think it was like a 24 Hours in Nürburgring like 3 years ago. I was racing the touring car class.
We don't talk about that race, Diablo.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, that's a story for another stint. But looks like Terminator's made his first pit stop as well here in PS, owing to his large gap there. Yuko as well made his first pit.
Your racing stint too, right?
2
and 3, yes.
Okay, I'll make sure to talk about that Nürburgring story when you're actually driving, so you can't say anything about it.
Excellent,
okay, so you and I will go. We'll talk about that first thing on the next stint.
Savage.
So Incinerate has also made his first pit, and I think Karts as well may have also just pitted. So this is going to be that strategy call. Teams are going to start to make their pit stops now. We'll check on some of the other drivers. Looks like Dadbot has not pitted yet. And Leopard also most likely not having pitted as well. And then Floofy, I think, did pit. Yes, he did. So you can kind of see those early gaps now are going to start to open up. The top few drivers will be getting about a pit stop's worth of distance every 20 to 30 minutes, just in outright pace differential. So you'll sometimes see somebody pit from the lead who wasn't actually the lead on strategy, but it was on the track. That's something I like to do. It drives everybody crazy, but you know, it's just one of those strategy things. You have to do what you can. So jumping back up here to the battle for the lead, Mellish is still chasing down Mitch. He's not letting him get away, but he's not closing him in either. He's just kind of holding steady right now. And neither of these guys has pitted yet. They are still on their original tires and fuel, but the tires in these cars last forever. In qualifying, I did 45 minutes, and my tires were worn like 10%. No noticeable difference. So really the only limiting factor on these guys is that required pit stop amount in PS.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I didn't look at the tire model. These guys they're all on quote unquote stock tires. Like they don't have race tires necessarily. Are they like in game?
They're street tires.
So they're not on They're not on slicks. What my point was is that when these guys are they're gonna last longer than slicks. So I know that GT Sport has the same issue with sport tires that last about seemingly a million years. We just had the Paris Invitational LAN event to kick off the 2019 World Tour season, and they're running sport cars, but the only way to get tire wear into those is they have a tire wear modifier. They put 45x on the sport car tires so that when they do 5 laps, they'd actually be worn. Otherwise, you could do like 45 laps and the car would still be rather drivable. So Forza unfortunately doesn't have the same feature, so it doesn't surprise me that these cars are not tire wear limited. Somewhere earlier in the chat, someone said that the Corvette is limited by tire wear. Yes, it is. I do know this. It gets up to close to 70% tire wear in the front by the end of the fuel run, which is not great, but it is what it is.
And hearing in chat that Mellish might have some engine damage. You hearing any of that, Ev? Listen on the upshift.
I mean, if we're using replay mode, I mean, the shift takes about, it's going to sound weird anyway.
Also, hearing there may be an issue for SVR Solar.
His stream went black. He's still racing. He just lost his video.
So apparently not an issue for SVR Solar, but an issue for SVR Solar's viewers. So that is unfortunate.
That's less than ideal.
Yeah.
It looks like is he back at 16th now? So he
probably pitted. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe yeah. That's really hard to yeah. I was gonna say he must have pitted because he was I think he was like 3rd or 4th. I know that that Raceboy was still behind Mead, and they had dispatched the German car.
Looks like Salty Boncos may have not pitted yet. Yep, he hasn't pitted. He might be going in this time, though, based on his line through the corner. All right, maybe not.
Nope.
JK.
I think Max Stream is also not pitted yet, but you can see the increased tire wear on the Corvette relative to the GT cars. Isn't the Corvette on race tires?
Yeah, but you got to remember that car weighs 2,600 pounds. It's heavy. And because of that gigantic lump of an engine in the front of the car, it wears it. Like, I know that I had to add a little bit of camber to the front of the car to actually, it has a problem. It just, in pre-event testing, we ended up taking a tire width off the front of it because it just was too fast. like for example, like the first lap I did with the tire, like I don't remember the size of the front tire that was on originally, but like my first flying lap was better than pole that was running in qualifying for this event. So taking the tire width off the front, it drastically it changed the car a lot more than I expected it would. It definitely slowed it down to the point where it's not it was a good like probably half-second drop. Just because it just doesn't turn in as well. The track limits being a little bit more loose in turn 1 at 17 definitely helped that car out, because you don't have to kind of run the line, quote unquote. You don't have to try to get the car to turn on a dime, because that extended line in turn 1, like you've got to brake a little later and then kind of pivot around it. Whereas with the wall, you can just kind of take a more of a normal braking line and kind of flow through the corner. 17 is the same way. You don't have to try to pivot around that inside. So, but yeah, the Corvette definitely likes to eat its own tires. So something to watch out for.
So looks like, speaking of walls here, the Sparks going in turn 1. The highest up driver right now in PS that has not made a pit stop is SCR Sparks, running in 3rd. He'll probably drop back to about 7th or 8th after that's done. And leading 2 have obviously not been idiot as well. So the highest place driver on the road right now that has made a pit stop is Floofy in the SVR black entry, number 18.
So those guys are that far out in front of their place.
Yeah, well, yeah, they are. It's Mellish and Mitch right now putting on a clinic, and again, it's not that we're saying Sparks is slow, because he's not. It's just that Mitch and Mellish are just crazy fast. These are some of the best drivers in the entire Forza community, and this really isn't a surprise. They just kind of do that. Alright, so if anybody here watching on SFM Official has any questions for us commentators about the race, the group, the drivers, whatever you got, we can try to answer. If you want to know where your drivers are doing, let us know. And if you're looking to check out B-Lobby, head on over to Dino Dad Shadow's Twitch channel. We'll be doing stints 1 and 2, so this stint and the next stint. Really appreciate him agreeing to do that. Alright, so we're about 25 minutes into the stint. Should be 45, but we're 25 minutes into the stint. So we've got effectively 75% of the racing still to go for this stint. And it looks like there's going to be some traffic here again, with Mitch and Mellish having to navigate past Scoops, and I want to say that is the LMP car, I think. LSCM, wrong L.
Close.
Yeah, kind of. So Big Man's going to give Mellish some racing room there to get through that corner. That's not going to make too much of a difference between Mellish and Mitch, just those 2 corners. But Mitch is starting to get away a little bit.
Yeah, as I would expect it to. I think as the race goes on, there's going to be... It's one of those... Most stints seemingly are... they come down to like 4 to 5 moments where you've got traffic, or you've got, someone makes a mistake, you can't take advantage of it. And then all of a sudden, I would say, it kind of breaks you there. Mitch with a bit of a mistake. It's those moments right there where you're trying to... you try to, keep pushing and try to push yourself to, to stay with the car ahead of you. The last time that last year when we raced this 12 Hours of Sebring, everyone was in the, it was a spec Mazda, it was the Mazda diesel that had full power and full tires. It was a very interesting car, and I was racing in my stint against, it's Scottson, used to go by a Nightmare AMS of F4H fame. One of the very best prototype racers in Forza, has been a long-time racer. It's kind of sad to not see him racing. He recently actually, he started and then a team ended up folding. He was going to form up his own team. He's one of the best dudes around. I think that this series may not have suited his driving preferences, so it's probably why he didn't step in. But last year racing against him, and my pace was a little bit down on everybody in the field, and I was kind of in Mellish's shoes. I knew that Scott was faster than me, but I used traffic and pit stops as much as I could to try to stay with him. And there was a point there where I was close enough to make a pass, and then I went into turn 2 and I clipped the grass. I lost about 3 to 4 seconds just because I went completely off track, and that was pretty much the end of it until I lagged out, and then it was really the end of it. But yeah, it's one of those. It comes down to these stints often come down to a few select moments where you're like, man, if I hadn't lost X amount of time here, I could have done this or could have done Y. It's yeah, it's 100 minutes in this stint, but you can really boil down the race to about 4 or 5 clips that are about 10 seconds long. There you go. This was the race right here.
It doesn't take much to really cause an issue, especially with the cars being slower for this race. The time lost by going off is just amplified because you don't have as much grip to get back on the track, and then once you're on, you don't have as much grip to get back up to speed. You have to be even more careful in a car that's a little bit slower.
Yeah, and you can't. And last year's Mazda was tough to drive too because it didn't have the acceleration out of the corners like that these cars do. So that effect was amplified by that fact. So these cars being a little bit more power hungry than handling safe, it's not quite bad as an effect, but it's still when you clip the grass like going into tower. We saw it this year with I don't remember if it was Bomarito in the car or one of the Mazdas locked the brakes.
I think it was him, yeah.
Yeah, he slightly locked the brakes going into tower and then clipped the grass, and then that was it. He just went straight to the wall. It's one of those things that, like, in Forza, that does happen. If you clip the grass on the outside, you're either going to lose the car or get pretty close to the wall on the outside. And even though you're not going that fast, it still happens. Wait a minute. We're on board with the number 18. Is that an SFM car, or they just have another Martini livery just by chance?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because we're going to do a little bit of an SFM run through the field because, we are the neutral Switzerland commentators, except that's a lie. So we're going to give you an update on the SFM cars. So here you've got the SFM Corsa Martini, which is a Martini that says Swordfish, painted by Macro White 45, Ace Captain Slow running in that car now. A little bit further up the field, there's Terminator, hearing that he actually has the GT brake line, which would explain why he's fallen down a little bit. That can be very frustrating. It doesn't actually affect your ability to drive, but it does throw off a huge visual distraction. So he's going to have to power through that in the number 74. And then in the 24, my car, which I'll be driving next in, is Turismo, deputizing for this race. He's doing pretty good in the 5th position, but I think he's pitted once so far. Okay, he actually hasn't made a pit stop yet at all, so he's still going to have to make a pit stop. Which takes us to our next point, that LSCM Yuko has made a pit stop and is now ahead of Turismo. So there's one of those previously mentioned gaps that will develop through the race just on pace differential. Yuko, very, very quick driver the 917. And he's already put an entire pit stop of distance on Turismo. Alright, so we're approaching the 1/3 distance point here in Stint 1. Any drivers that you guys are thinking might have a resurgence as we go into the middle part of the stint?
I'll let Av take this one. To keep rating dramatic problem.
Dun, dun, dun.
I would say something like, nah, I talk too much. Go on.
Yeah. Now let's hear from Av a little bit.
Well, for me, I'm really focused on Terminator. The SFM Glickenhaus team, I'm pretty close with all of them on that team. Dark, you know that as well as anybody. I'm really hoping that they can bounce back from something like this. I mean, the GT braking line, was it the GT braking line or the prototype braking line that they're running?
He has the GT line in a prototype car.
Okay, all right. So, with that, I really hope that they can just bounce back from all this. I'm killed to see the SFM guys do great all day today. The Glickenhaus guys are probably my dark horse favorite. In terms of TORA, they're kind of underdogs. They've never really done this in TORA before. And this is a good time to show them exactly what the hell they're made of.
Alright, so Av's thinking that the 74 team is going to have a good run later on. Well, Diablo, it looks like your guy's on the stream right now, Race Boy, running in the 15th position, meaning he's going to be 4th in the GT class at the moment. Just behind Mead and just ahead of Max Stream, so he's in the AMS sandwich right now.
Yeah, I know that, sorry, I know that my mic's a little bit screwed up here. Someone said that to me. I think Force One mentioned that it sounds like I'm in a fishbowl. I apologize. I don't know how to fix the settings on that.
You're fine.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where my car ends up. Because you've got Raceway the car now, then you got Ben, who's a little bit slower than the both of us. Um, so it's gonna be interesting to see where, when I finally get in the car in stint 4, where we're ending up. I think that with me running towards the end of the race, I'll try to, I'm gonna try to claw back as much as I can if we've lost time or if I end up in a good spot. Evan's doing great running where he is. He didn't really have a whole lot of time to put into this during the week. He wasn't able to qualify. So for him to be running the pace he is now, he's put in a pretty minimal amount of laps. He's busy with all sorts of things up there in Canada. So, he's running well compared to people who have put in the time. So I can't complain about it at all. We're running today for fun. This is I haven't had a lot of opportunities to race an event like this for just kind of the memes. So that's gonna be good. In terms of other cars that might have a resurgence, I would say, without looking at the list, I think, well, I hope that my car has a bit of resurgence. It's gonna depend on what happens in the later stints, I think, because right now, the way that the field's spread out, there's not a lot of, back and forth, the GOT, the German team and Evan keep battling back and forth. Solar has kind of taken off, got in front of him. I don't know where Zoom is,
He's leading.
Well, I know that, but I don't know how far out in front it looks like he's a ways out. So
He's about a pit stop ahead, which means that Sam has probably made his second pit stop. I think, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Let's see if Sam even pitted, just for science. Yeah, he hasn't made a stop yet.
Okay, so that's fair, but I expect him to be probably a good, 3 to 4 seconds, if not more, out front. I think that probably 10 minutes ago, that's just how far out front he was. I know that Sam's got pace, but I think Zoom's probably a good tenth or two quicker lap, I would say, on average. I imagine that Zoom's going to be pitting soon with the tire wear up, closer to 50-60%. So
yeah. Let's see if he makes it in this lap here. He's taking a bit of a tighter line through 17. Nope. He's going to go in. Called it. All right, so that's your leader in GT in the pit lane, Sauber Zoom. We're going to jump back to SVR Solar to see how close he can get now. He's got some time to make up, though. He's a little ways back.
Nah, he's a long ways off. He's got, actually, Zoom's further out front than I thought he was, because Zoom is leaving his pit stall.
Just about now, yeah. Just take your eyes to the map for a moment. We're highlighting Solar in 13, coming through 17. Now I'm going to move it to Zoom. You can see he's almost at the exit of the pit. He's going to be going a bit slower, though, so we'll see how much time he has over Solar now. Looks like he's half of the front straight.
He's got about an 8-second lead. That's probably close.
Let's figure it out. All right, so 1, 2, 3,
7, 36,
4,
12.
5. Yeah, so it's about
Nice.
7.5 seconds between Solar and Zoom. And that is a pretty respectable gap, considering that Zoom won the Latin American region for the Forza RC. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think that in terms of overall pace, I know it's something we haven't really brought up. I think overall pace-wise, I think it goes in order of 250 GTO, Corvette, and then Nissan. So for Zoom to be out there running the pace he is in that Nissan is great. The Nissan's one of those, you have to unlock its speed via tuning, and it's not a fast car off the jump. You got to figure out some weird stuff about the suspension, the roll bars, the ride height. There's some weird, kind of voodoo stuff you have to do to it to make it go quick. When I was testing, I was a little bit, like I said, I was a little bit quicker than the 250 GTO. It's got the legs kind of at the very end of the straightaway, even the same sort of way as the Corvette, but it doesn't weigh as much, so it has that advantage. The Corvette is just a really stable car, and it's, I wouldn't say easy to extract the pace, but it's one of those cars, it's just like the GT car. You can extract about 95% of pace out of it in the first couple of laps of driving. It's getting that last bit of pace that's really a pain. You really have to drive the wheels off of the car, but at the same time, you have to be careful with it, because if you overdrive it, you'll just drive slower. These GT cars, if you overdrive them in any way, shape, or form, it just doesn't work.
And speaking of things that are new, we have a fourth member of the Common Box to introduce to you all. Floodman11 joining us from Australia. How you doing, Flood?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you're able to come in and help us out here. So you're joining in about a third of the way through Stint 1. We're riding on board with Mellish here in the second position of the PS class. Were you able to catch any of the intro to our race here? And do you have any thoughts of who might be somebody to watch for?
No.
No,
I'm
perfect.
coming in almost completely blind. So yeah, let's see how this goes.
All right, well, just to catch everybody up to speed, Flood included, the race started off with a great fight between Floofy, Mellish, and Mitch. So those three kind of checked out a bit, hearing from Ben that there's an exciting battle happening in GT, so I'll move to that while I explain this. Going to Mead.
Good man.
Yeah, so Mead started off by going from third to first and then got back to third. Hearing that Mead was just taken out by a prototype, that's not good.
Yeah, you generally do hate to see that. I feel like that's going to be a factor in all of these events, in these stints, is that the prototype cars, it's so easy to lose a car into braking more than you'd anticipate. Like, you try to dive in on somebody, then you get on the brakes, and the car starts to get sideways, you lose all of your braking speed. So, or you lose all of your braking ability rather than speed. You end up flying to the corner and take somebody out. I don't know where it looks like maybe a turn 17 dive, maybe a turn 1.
Yeah, I think it was Karts. I think it was Karts that did that just based on the proximity.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. He's making the move. Yeah, there he goes. He's going past the GRT car. So that moves Race Boy into, I believe that's third in lobby.
Race Boy is third. Yep, third position.
And there he is, just ahead of the carts there.
Yeah, so Race Boy is in the GT class in the Corvette. Karts is in the Ford GT in the PS class.
Oh,
I did get that far. I did read up on that.
I've just seen a clip of a prototype, because Race Boy is actually streaming right now, and he has a clip of a prototype trying to go around the outside into turn 1, literally up against the wall, and Mead was already there, and ended up basically he made him sit to a bitch and turn right into turn 1. That is the clip is called Oof, and honestly, that is oof. I can't say that. What an idiot! Like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to go around the outside of somebody into turn 1, like up against? If someone's already there, just wait.
And that clip has now been posted in the Twitch chat for anybody to take a look at. You can draw your own conclusions. All right, so looks like there may have been. Oh, did we lose a prototype? I only see 10 right now, unless somebody's had a huge issue. Dadbot is in 10th right now. 11th is not. Yeah, we lost somebody. Somebody's gone. Somebody has lagged out.
No.
So let's see if we can figure out who that is. Alright, so... Oh, now we have to do a little bit of detective work. Hearing it may have been Yuko. And it was Yuko. So LSEM Yuko has disconnected from the first stint of the 12 hours of Sebring in the Porsche 917 driving for LSEM. And that is just really unfortunate. He was having a really strong run to start the race. Made his first pit stop early, clawed back some huge distance from therein, but he has unfortunately disconnected. So
that sucks. That really does.
We'll make sure to see if they can come back for later stints. There is a lag out rule, so he's not totally out of it, but it is going to put them in the hole.
One of the problems with online racing, isn't that right?
Yeah, it's kind of like you have an engine failure in real life. You can have an internet failure in the virtual world.
No, it's not.
No?
No. I am not letting that argument stand. I've heard it too many times. I'm not letting it sit. No.
I'm trying to relate to the audience, Diablo.
No. I'm gonna relate to the audience right here. I'm gonna relate to the audience right here. I'm gonna be straight with you, alright? Forza multiplayer.
Just quickly, while this is going on, we've just had a pass for, I think, 4th position on stream.
Yep.
Diving straight into the pits.
Straight into the pits.
Sparks made the roof, and Turismo said, enough of this, and he's dived into the pits. So, good catch, Flood. Good catch.
Just quickly, for those who aren't informed, like myself, what is the approximate stint length that these prototypes are about to get?
So they get 1 hour and 40 minutes per stint, and that will equate to right about 65-ish laps with 3 pit stops required. The PS class can actually do it on 1 stop. The 3 is for strategy, and the GTs can mostly do it on 2, but again, the 3rd for strategy. So that's where we're at now. So most of these guys will have made their first pit stop by now. I don't think that Mitch has made a stop at all yet. He's probably trying to stretch it out. No, he has made one stop, so Mitch has made one stop.
Yeah, so you're not going to go that long. I mean, what in the stint now? It's about 11 o'clock Eastern Standard, or Eastern Daylight Time, rather.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'd have to make a stop at least at this point. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, he just made a stop recently too.
Yeah, Melish as well, probably one lap before. So those two are both on the same strategy now. Let's see what that gap is now. All right, so
it looks like we're having a bit of debate about the clip of Mead and I think it was Karts going into turn 1. Venom raises a good point there. Mead did definitely move to the right after, it was pretty late moving back to the race line. I think the Kart's probably expecting him to stay, mid-track and to not completely close the door off, so that he could, kind of loop around the outside there. I think the Kart's inexperience trying to pass there definitely played a part, because if it were me, I would never have put my prototype car there, because you never know what the GT car is going to do. But at the same time, like, moving that late, like, the closing speed on these prototype cars is extremely high. So to make a move that late, like, the GT car drivers are going, it's my line. Well, yeah, but you're planning moves out, 3 or 4 seconds in advance, when you're getting ready to directly make a pass. People say, does the GT have the right? Yeah, it does. But when you're going 180 plus into a turn and the GTs are barely hitting 145, like, the amount of time you have to calculate where that driver is going, sometimes it's just, once you're committed to a line, you've got like within like 200 feet, like, I can't change at this point. Like, I can't avoid him once that move is committed.
Yeah,
I think in the return of serve though, the prototype guys have to have the patience to only commit when the move's on. I mean, yeah, the closing speed is that different, and you do have to commit to those lines. But in a multi-class race, discretion is the better part of valor. If you're not 100% sure that you can make the move, you a lot of the time have to just take the foot off the gas, because otherwise you end up with contact, which can lead to damage or penalties, and that's going to be worse for you in the long run.
Yeah, you just got to weigh the risk reward, and that is something that a lot of these drivers will struggle with as we go through the race, just trying to balance what is a good move and what isn't. And
yeah, I see the it's still kind of a debate there. It's having raced a lot of prototype stuff. If I was a prototype there, like, I'm trying to, like, what my reaction would have been, I would be like, well, you can't move that late, which is completely true. Like, at that point, like, when he started to break is when he started to move, and when a prototype is closing in that quickly, like, at that point, Karts is just going, uh-oh. Like, he's kind of committed to that outside. Like, once he was beside him, they're like, I can't move now, because you've literally he pinched him up against the wall. Yeah, I think that the patience, you have to be patient as a prototype. You can't put yourself in that sort of risky position. Like, I know that there was another car, like, he was competing with that's right in front of him, but, like, dive up the inside. Like, don't go around, like, especially at turn 1. Why are you trying to pass this? You're not in a 919. You're not in a LP2 high down. Right, you're not in a high downforce car. You shouldn't be passing around the outside of turn 1. You're gonna understeer and go into the grass. Don't be foolish.
right, so right now we're riding on board with LCR Leopard. Is it Leopard or Leopard? I actually don't know. But that's who we're on board with now. Gonna look around through the field, see if there's anybody else battling their hearts out. Looks like a lot of the field is probably spread out at this point. We're kind of in that awkward part of the race where the pit strategies are a bit divergent. Not too many people close to anyone else for position at the moment, except for Max and Big Man battling out for the final position in the lobby. I don't think this is the SVR green car, despite it being green, guys. Because this is actually SVR Rainbow.
Don't you just love how teams do
What
that?
in SVR? I can't say it. I can't say it. I won't, because I've been told it's a
Diablo,
PG.
Diablo, just
I am-
hold your tongue. Hold your tongue.
I am hacking bamboozled right now.
Yeah.
I am
Alright.
so confused.
Oh, man.
SBR, that's not their only car that they've done that sort of thing with, is it?
Oh no, they
They've
have
also-
6 that don't match.
Oh, and
Right
to
on.
confirm, leopard is pronounced like the animal.
Perfect.
Oh,
So
there you go.
Leopard. Thank you, Hayden. All right, so that's SVR Max. He's chasing LSCM Big Man, the only remaining LSCM car in Lobby A. They had 2 protos, one of which was withdrawn, the number 32, and 31 has disconnected about 5 minutes ago. Yuko having an internet outage of some sort. So it looks like that's going to be Max right behind Big Man, battling it out for 10th position. Yeah, 10th position in the Lobby A, Stint 1.
So, are the disconnect rules still the same as they were when I was racing in TORA like 2 years ago?
All right, that's a great question, Flood, and I do have an answer. So the way that this is going to work is that if you disconnect from a stint and you've completed another stint, you get 75% of the difference between your worst completed stint and the distance in miles that you completed before you disconnected added to your total.
Okay.
So if your worst stint was 150 and you did 50 miles, you're going to get, I picked an odd number there.
I'm getting the chat to ask about what happened to Mellish. Rotor is asking about him. What did happen?
But you do get some distance back ahead in Flood. It's not as much as the teams would be hoping for, but it is a pretty significant amount of distance that you do get back.
And it's better than getting a big fat 0 or however much you got if you disconnect really early into a stint.
Correct.
Yeah, let's see. Mellish is just coming into the turn 3 to 5. Where's Mitch on track?
We'll check that in a moment, but I think Mellish may have pitted again. No, he hasn't. Let's check on Mitch now.
Okay, so it's just a little bit wider gap.
Yeah, it's not too much different. They're still relatively close to each other, only about 1 corner's width apart. So maybe 10 seconds, maybe, but it's not too much.
Shout out also to good old SBR Schneider now, or Snyder, I forget how to say it. I'm sorry, Nick.
Schneider.
Yep, he has pointed out the SBR Black car has an all-black car. Thank you. You're one of the 6 teams at SBR that actually picked a color and then painted it the same one.
Yes, we did mention that earlier. SVR Black is actually black. Praise Patron.
I see the tradition has continued from when HCR used to run the Tequila Patron livery from the ALMS days on their prototype cars. That theme has continued onto this car. Very cool to see.
All right, so let's move again through the field just to check on how everybody's doing. Go back to Terminator. Haven't seen him in a while. He's going to pass the M&R car, Scoops, his first A-Lobby appearance.
Is that for position? No, it's not for position.
No. Well, I mean, it's for a track position, but not for a leaderboard position.
Yeah.
And has Term made a second stop? No. He's still on his first stop. It looks like he may have some more engine damage. The number is fluctuating a bit, which makes it hard to give an accurate answer. And I think we're also being joined in the booth now by a 5th voice, SFM Zai. Welcome back, Zai. Wow,
God,
you're quiet.
You guys are populating like rabbits. Jesus.
Thank you, Diablo.
There's
Yes.
more of us.
Yeah. It never ends, man. It never ends.
Someday.
I'll just be here for a moment, so may not be around for the whole thing. I'll be here.
Great words. Motivational speech right there.
I feel ready to like be a rider of Rohan after that. I just
Oh god,
feeling the energy.
so much energy.
All right, so riding on board with Terminator, Zai's now in the booth. So that's 5 now, in case you're getting confused with all the voices. You're watching SFM Official's coverage of the TORA 12 Hours of Sebring. In the booth right now is myself, SFM Darkster, Avcris, LZR Diablo, Floodman11, and SFM Zai. And we are about halfway through Stint 1.
The booth just keeps getting smaller.
Yeah, it's a good thing nobody microwaved fish or something. That would just be unpleasant.
Oh, don't even start to go there.
Come on. I don't want that imagery.
It's not the imagery, it's the smell, man.
Well, the imagery that leads to the smell in my brain.
Yeah, and you know, this is the Swordfish Motorsport channel, and I did have fish
I
for
want
dinner
out.
last night. I had some red snapper. It was really
Let's
tasty.
not, please.
All right, well, apparently.
No wonder you're not feeling well. Lesson.
Yeah, don't eat fish before a 12-hour race.
Yes, lesson learned.
No, we did this a couple of years ago. We did this a couple of years ago, Ted. Come on.
All right. Well, moving on. Looks like there's a big old gaggle of cars there in the prototype class. Incinerate, Karts, and Turismo are running reasonably close to each other with a GT car ace there, just letting his teammate through, or not. All right, so Turismo's got some work to do now to catch back up to the battle of Karts and Incinerate. Let's check that battle out. Should be pretty entertaining.
Incinerate. What was his former tag?
AMR
I feel
Death
like
Monster.
Yes, that's who it is. I thought so. I knew it was an AMR guy, but I couldn't remember which one because they had their moment.
Yeah.
That one there.
Yeah.
Hulk just asked if a driver drives a later stint but is disconnected at the start of an earlier stint, do they get the portion of laps per the disconnect regulation?
Yes.
So basically the way that it works. Oh, I'm also getting Raceboy and Solar are battling right now. Please change to that. Mostly because I'm biased.
Well, at least you admit it.
Yeah.
Yes, they are battling. Oh my goodness. Max Stream is there as well, so this could get really saucy in a second.
Let's go.
And this is for what position in class?
Oh, it's
this would be for
second in
third.
class?
Second, third.
No, I think it's for second, yeah. Raceboy's ahead of Solar. Let's go.
Yeah, so this is for the podium spots. No pressure, boys.
Yeah. Let's say there. Now I just have thoughts of my fish
regulations on disconnects.
Yeah. So the way that works. So if you lag out.
Quickly, big wiggle there from the red car. Which one is Solar?
That's gonna be Solar, yeah.
Yikes. So when you lag out, so say you lag out a stint 1, like the one thing I will say, live timing will be all sorts of borked. So just don't pay attention to live timing until you actually complete a full length stint where you don't lag out. So what happens is you're given, in the stint that you lagged out, you're given what you ran. So say if you ran 40 laps, and whatever the distance is, it's 3.7 miles, so 40 times 3.7 is like 140, 50, whatever mileage it is, right? You're given that. And then, on top of that, you're given 75% of what you ran as your worst stint. It's going to sound confusing. So it's like, say you've got 6 stints in total that you run, and like the worst stint that you run is 145 miles, right? I think I'm explaining this correctly. So so the lag out rule calculates what you would have achieved, like the mileage you achieved in that stint, and then gives you 75% pace of that. So like, if you lagged out with like 30 minutes to go, it would give you the pace as if you had ran, like 20-ish, like 22 minutes of that stint. So you're gonna lose a couple of laps every time you lag out, especially like if you lag out early. It really is it's kind of a, unless you're racing Le Mans and Nürburgring, it is really hard to make that time back. I won't lie to you about it. Sebring it's a little easier. Daytona, a lag out is next to death in terms of trying to stay competitive.
Solar is right on the bumper of Racerboy as they come down the main straight. It looks like he's going to put a move in.
He's
maybe
going to send it.
turn 1.
Don't.
Turn 1.
Nope.
Very
No.
close.
He's gonna do it.
No.
Stays in the wheel tracks as they go through turn 1, but there is literally
So much wiggle.
they make.
Big wiggle.
Racerboy
That's
goes
on
wide
that side.
on the exit. Solar Boy down on the inside into turn 2. Does he make the move stick? No.
No.
Racerboy, it manages to hold the position as they go through the little dogleg there, but coming up to turn 7 now, just in a second, and that could be where the move gets done, especially with a great exit of the corner there from Solar. He's looking very racy at the moment, and this could be the move for the lead in class, or second in class, sorry.
Yeah,
Turn 7's a huge breaking point, and
Evan's an experienced competitor. He knows that, like right there, like maybe a less experienced person would have, held the inside and tried to brake. It's so easy to overshoot the corner when you do that. I don't know, like grip levels, like it's easy to miss the apex when you do that and lose time. So Evan, being the experienced racer that he is, held the regular racing line, said, basically says to Solar, if you're gonna make it, you're gonna have to dive bomb me here. Doesn't. He pulls away a couple of car legs. I think hopefully Evan can pull away a little bit here. The legs of the Ferrari are going to be tough to get away from, but that vet is really smooth and consistent. So I think it looks like Sam is really pushing that car, trying to get back ahead. So if Evan could just keep his cool, which he is Canadian Iceman, Iceman, whatever.
We'll go with Moose Man. 'cause
Ice
It's funnier.
Moose Man.
Hey, I say that there was an ongoing meme that Mesosphere at one point put out, and I'm sure someone could find a photo. For those that don't know, I am from the state of Maine, which is pretty near Canada. As is, it's, you know, for those with that geography, I've got New Brunswick on the eastern side, Quebec to the north, and then Ontario way out to the west. So basically, Maine is the joke is it's kind of Canada but kind of not. And
Brilliant.
there's a whole like moose gag. It's like, oh yeah, you know, like there's nothing out there. Do you ride moose to school, ride deer to school? Like that's something that people joke about.
We get that a lot. People constantly ask Australians to ride kangaroos to school. It's just like, not really.
Well, have you ever?
No. But we do see kangaroos a lot.
I think one of my favorite videos, I mean, PETA, don't get mad at me here, but one of the videos that I've seen, everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? The video where, like, this kangaroo attacks this guy's dog, and then the guy comes up, the guy walks on the kangaroo and just slaps it, and the kangaroo just stares at him like, what, mate?
It's not even a slap, it's like a full-on...
He slugs him in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, the kangaroo's he's so stunned. So stunned, he just sits there and he's like, okay, take it to dog before this kangaroo decides to get really angry with me. Like,
And,
that's just like when I think of Australia, I think of that as like, that guy is absolutely awesome. I love it.
We here at SFM Official love to bring you the most family-friendly of stories for your afternoon racing content.
What's wrong with that? Nothing bad happened. The guy's dog was
Just a
okay.
kangaroo getting punched.
That guy... Anyway, back to the racing. Right?
Yeah, Solar is still
looks
giving
like-
Raceboy some heck there, chasing him
It
down.
does look like Raceboy has just stretched out a little bit of a gap. Solar seems to have the advantage on the back half of the circuit, but out of the hairpin, that Corvette's just got oodles of drive, and it has just managed to just slip away by a car length and a half at this stage.
Yeah, that's great on the exit, the hairpin, especially because of the torquey nature of that car. You just once you get it straight, you boot it and you go.
And that was the American racing strategy in the 1960s. The American engines were generally enormous and ridiculously powerful compared to the European counterparts, but the cars were heavy, so their solution was to make it insanely fast in a straight line. Versus the Italians, which also had really nice engines, but had way more aerodynamic bodywork. These cars were loosely based on cigar tube shapes, because that was the most aerodynamically understood shape at the time. And that's why the Ferrari that Solar is driving is more smooth compared to the more angular Corvette Stingray.
Well, you say that, but Enzo Ferrari always said aerodynamics are for people who can't build engines, so...
You know, I was expecting you to say that, and you are correct, but my original point remains that the American engines were more powerful in GT racing.
Yes, of course, because we are talking GT at this stage.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the time, you got to think about it. You know, the 1960s were an era where it was just bigger the engine, the better. You know, it wasn't until the OPEC oil crisis when you actually saw American automakers make. Mind you, I need to clarify that the smaller engines Americans made were terrible in every way, shape, and form. Just look at the late 70s.
Raceboy goes off!
Oh!
He's got it. You just dipped the wheel in the grass there. He's still there.
Big puff of dust, but yeah, it doesn't look like it's affected him that much down.
You're stressing me out. Don't say that.
Was that a little lock up there in the front as well?
Yeah, the cars are going to be... the Batman voices return. So the cars in this race will occasionally violently go on two wheels. You'll see it more in PS than in GT, but I heard somebody mention two wheels for Solar or Raceboy, I don't remember which one.
If you're
Solar
getting
just
two
hit
wheels
left
on that,
That was contact there, yeah.
Yeah.
if you're getting two wheels up on, if you're getting two wheels up in a Corvette, that's bad. That car's heavy. And that car is nice and wide. So I mean, you can get two wheels up going through like where they're going through now in the S's, or in this fast like double laps. Like you can pick the car up like if you're actually like two wheeling the car at some point, that's bad. You hit a curb really hard, you should not. Someone's saying that LCR car is a beaut. I really like that white and gold, or maybe it's like an off-white cream color. Like it is a really cool color scheme. I will give it credit to that. Oh, Ben says, the only reason I didn't freak because I'm watching Raceboy stream too. Yeah, if you want to check him out, obviously you guys are tuning in here to SFM Official. Raceboy is streaming his POV. SVR Solar is streaming his POV. Go give those guys a nice cheeky follow. We all love each other in the Forza community, mostly. So, you know, the more support that everyone gets, you know, your follows and your, you know, your retweets and your and your subscriptions, you know, for some of those people that chose to delve into that, yeah, you know, it's all a good thing. You know, we're all in this together to try to bring the racing community up to a higher level. And this, you know, this is part of it. You know, we got 60, you know, anywhere between 65 and 70 people watching this race. We're up to 69. Nice.
Hey,
Nice.
So, you know, floating right around that mark. You know, I remember, you know, Le Mans typically gets more, but you have normally twice as many people involved in those races. So, I mean, I know a lot of the people that are tuning in, either A, teammates of people racing, B, teammates of people driving, but they're not actually driving, or there is your occasional, you know, guy that's not racing at all, not really, just kind of wants to watch the memes and see if people take each other out, which I'm here for you for that. You know, there's a little bit of that.
is this NASCAR?
No, it is not NASCAR, but
Aren't we all just NASCAR?
wait a minute, hold on. Doesn't NASCAR own IMSA?
They do.
Right.
They do.
So, and this is a vintage like IMSA style event.
Indeed.
So technically, yes.
Maybe we're all NASCAR on this blessed day.
You know, it'd be fun actually. And I've never really thought about this. Imagine doing a NASCAR endurance race. Like I think that everyone's hands would actually be physically dead by the end of it. But can you imagine doing like a stinted race in NASCARs and maybe having like a lower class, like take like the Monte Carlo out or something?
Oh,
like,
God.
like that would be.
That is an
That'd be
idea
Stint
for
racing
another
now,
day.
right?
No, I think it would be more of a meme race, but yeah, you know, I mean, it'd be interesting. I say, oh, wow.
Dad bod there putting moves on that GT car. That was a interesting
Dumb.
choice of line through there.
Dumb? Don't
Well-
do that. No, people need to be called out on dumb moves. That was one of them.
Alright,
If
so
you're going-
you
if
heard
you're
it
going-
here. Diablo has insisted that that move was a dumb. I don't have any objection to that statement.
There you go.
Perfect. Just quickly, people in the chat are saying that Leopard has now completed all 3 stops, perhaps?
That is possible.
In a pretty decent strategic position for the latter half of this stint, of which we have how long remaining, guys?
We've got about 20 minutes left. No, that's wrong. We've got about 40 minutes left. Counting is hard.
Yep, that's the doc I remember.
Yeah. We did start a little bit late due to some connection issues, but once we have gotten going, it's been reasonably good so far. Only lost 2 people of the 22 that started. So this should end about 11:57, I think, on the Eastern Daylight Time clock. So we've got about a half hour left.
Solar is still right with Raceboy, which I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
The gap has stretched a bit more. I think the prototype traffic coming through has benefited a Raceboy a little more than it has Solar. But yeah, as you can see on screen now, it is only about 2 or 3 car lengths.
Yeah, he got Raceboy got a little bit slowed up there by the Porsche going back by. I think, excuse me, there was a hiccup burp thing that fortunately didn't go completely on stream. I stopped it before it got really
I think
awkward.
the worst part did though.
Yeah. Where did
No,
that car just
I-
come from? That red car? Oh, it's Dadbot, okay.
Holy, don't
Round
do
the
this again.
outside there.
Well, that's going to let Solar catch right back up to Raceboy now, back in drafting range, thanks to Dadbot's interesting choice of
Heckin'
move.
move. Heckin' move.
Yeah. You know, we should get like Diablo's soundbite, just dum dum dum, just to play it later.
We'll put it. Well, hey, you know what we'll do? We'll put it as a soundbite on Solar Stream. I know he has a couple of choice ones that have been used in his streams.
Yeah.
So, if I stream, I should stream. Actually, I have the equipment to stream. I have an Elgato. I have a camera. I have all that sort of stuff, and
So stream.
Alright. Hearing from Ben that he just broke his controller, that's problematic because Ben is set to race the next stint.
How does one break a controller?
When not racing.
You know, that is a
Yeah.
really good question, and I
No,
honestly
he
don't
said-
know.
he said there was something on his controller that like fell apart yesterday. He has a backup. Good.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I have, for those that maybe are just tuning in now, I have personal investment in Ben and Evan competing today. That's Ray's point. So if something goes wrong with them, I'm not gonna be very thrilled. So
Just to interrupt again, it looks like Solar is right on the back of Racer Boy now, heading into that hairpin, and that gap is closed way, way, way up. Again.
yeah. Well, the prototype getting in the way in turn 10, and then Dadbod just doing a big old slide there from Solar on the exit of 7. Not gonna help his cause. Vet really great out of the hairpin. So he's going to stretch the gap out a little bit. If these guys can just kind of maintain this, I think it'll be fine. I know that Ben's going to lose a little bit. He's going to lose some time in the next stint. And then Race Boy will try to claw back, and then I'll hop back in the car. It's going to kind of be a weeble wobble back and forth. But if Evan can, if he can maintain second in this in this stint, I think that'll be great, because that'll mean that he'll start second in his next stint, which will really help the cause, because we're starting 4th on the grid. And Ben will be taking the fields to 2 in 4th place. So
just changing gears a little bit, GR Team Extreme is not that far behind this battle between Solar and Raceboy. He's only about 2-3 seconds back, so he's not out of this by any means. If those two make a mistake, or if Max stops running off the track, we might have a good battle in our hands here.
Yeah, that was less than ideal. Actually, just speaking of GT, where's Zoom?
Zoom has actually gotten into the next county in Florida. He's got a bit of a large lead going on here. So
yeah, not a surprise at all. Not a surprise whatsoever. Zoom. He may have. He did nick it, but it was a low. It was just a low. It was just a little kiss. Just a little kiss in the wall. Knocked out a headlight. The one thing actually, I'll bring this up. I mean, we're not there yet, but this is stint 1 and not stints 5 and 6. Stints 5 and 6 are being run at night. Which means that, right, it is classic, but also you have to, not only do you have to keep respecting the bumps, you gotta respect the walls. If you knock your lights out at Sebring, it's not like Daytona. The track is not lit up in certain sections. It is very hard to see, unless you're using the track limit thingy where you've got the whole edge of the track lit up, and then it really doesn't matter. Those of you that are weird, just calling you out now.
I guess I'm weird, guys.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
I mean, that was
the
the question.
majority of the racing community is weird.
Yes.
Well,
You're probably not wrong, actually.
No, I know. I mean, most of us are kind of a weird bunch, but yeah. No, I'm not a. Yeah, I won't get off to anything. I'm not a huge fan of the track limit like marker thingy. Like the braking lines is kind of one thing, and it's a separate but similar debate, because Forza doesn't do a great job with actual track markers, so you kind of can't see where you're going.
All right, so speaking of seeing where you're going, I think Sparks almost ran into the leader there coming out of the pits. Looks like he's settled in behind now, but that could have been real messy.
I think Sparks was just moving over to let the leader through. I think he'd seen him, because that was a very wide line into turn 1 there.
And at this point, we should probably do at least one through the field. So in the lead right now, since the drop of the race, has been Williams and Mitch driving for 2 goats and a lamb, the most amazing team name. In the second position, driving for the Savage Squadron, is Mellish, the TUS racing manager, racing alongside with Roadrunner. Third position, driving for SVR Black, the only SVR car that matches the color with the name of the team, it's Floofy. Fourth position, driving the AMR Phoenix hybrid car, it's PXM Karts. Fifth position, SVR Incinerate, driving for SVR Red, I think it is. Sixth is Turismo83, driving my car, the SFM Competizione Martini. Seventh position is the second SFM car, SFM Glickenhaus, with Terminator at the wheel as he runs into his GT teammate. That's hilarious. Eighth position, SVR Sparks, just came out of the pits. That's the SVR green car? Ninth,
Who knows, man?
yeah. Ninth is LCR Leopard. That is a beautiful paint job. Look at that. So reflective.
And a beautiful car as well.
It really is. 10th position is MRT Dadbod, rounding out the PS entries. And of course, we had LSC Miko earlier, but he has disconnected. In GT, leading the race is Salver Zoom, driving for Team Mandem. Second, Raceboy in the Sunray Stingray car. It's Diablo's car. Third, SVR Solar for SVR Purple, which is actually red. Fourth, GRT Max Stream in the AMS Corvette. Fifth, AMS Mead in Ariana Motospatana, number 90.
You
Sixth,
love saying that team name.
I really do. Sixth is SVR Salty Bancos. I think this might actually be SVR Green because it is green.
You sure though?
No.
Are you sure?
Seventh is MNR BTS1. That's going to be MNR Scoops. Eighth, SFM Corsa Martini, Ace Captain Slow out of Canada. Ninth, LSEM Big Man, who is in the pits, so we'll let him come out. There he is, the remaining LSEM car in Lavier. And then rounding out the field, SVR Max in the other green SVR car. Man, I'm just getting a headache now.
Which is actually SVR Rainbow.
Yes, so this green car is rainbow, the other green car is green. If you're trying to write this down at home, you're going to need a lot of paper.
My head hurts.
Just stop. just don't even bother. It's just one of them.
Yeah. Great to see
I mean-
a team being able to put that many entries together. It's kind of uncommon for that many quality entries to be put forth, so it's really cool to see.
You guys got a bunch of cars, don't you? I mean, you've got like 3 or 4 teams, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
we've got
SFM.
5 actually in this race.
Jesus.
Yeah, three in A, 2 in B. All right, looks like Terminator's just gone a lap down to Mitch. You might bail into the pits at this point. There he goes. Smart
And
move.
he does.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that was kind of
that's not-
expected to happen. Mitch is just that much faster. He's probably going to put a lap on half the field in this stint.
Yeah, the pace gap in this class from top of A to the bottom of B is it makes me very happy that these guys are split into 2 different lobbies, because honestly, if they were in one, it would be complete chaos. Me qualifying yesterday, there were some guys in prototype that were running. Some of their best laps were like a 2:04. That's about 8 to 9 seconds off of what Mitch is running.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's something to be said about 107% rule there, because that actually exceeds it. It's one of those. Yeah, I think it does. I think it's like
Well,
a
2 minutes is 120 seconds.
Correct.
It's close. It's
Yeah, it would
closer
be
than
close.
it- Yeah.
That's why I have a separate lobby.
Yep. Yeah. Plus, we can only fit 24 in a lobby, so you kind of need 2 or 3 for all these races.
Oh, that's a car.
All right, so
Someone's audio was coming through. That they must be practicing.
yeah, so
Or
we're gonna
watching.
so we're gonna move away from Mitch now, just to check on the rest of the field. Jump back to Floofy. Oh, he's right behind somebody. That's gonna be Big Man going a lap down, as Floofy hits him twice.
I think that's the 904 Porsche, yeah.
Yep.
Or was that
It's Big
one
Man.
of the LSEM teams?
Yeah, LSE and Big Man. Yep.
I'm learning, guys.
Yeah, you're getting there.
That 904, just talking about that's such a weird looking car to me. Like, it's like I've seen it up close. It's a very cool car, but like watching it on track, like it kind of like if you flipped it over, it'd be like a small dinghy. Like, it's just a weird shape.
Yeah.
Like it's a very like it does though. I mean, look at it. You're like that. If you smooth out the roof line, that would be a boat. Like that's what it is.
I mean, a lot of those 60s
looks-
cars do look a little...
Yeah,
yeah,
Road-
actually, now that you say that...
Roadrunner's saying it looks like a kit
you've
car. Yeah, it does.
You've ruined this car for me forever now. It's one of my favourite classic cars, and you just ruined it for me.
Well, I'm glad.
Flood is
No.
our resident Porsche mega fan here.
Absolutely.
Have you been to the? I don't know if you've had the chance to go to the Porsche Museum in Stuttgart.
No, but it's definitely on the bucket list.
Yeah, I would say I went there. That's gonna date me a bit. Like 5 or 6 years ago, and they had the 904. I didn't get to see the 906, but I've seen the 904. And one of the things, big man with a nice little slide on the grass there, definitely wide on entry. one of the things that I will say about some of these cars, like we've driven them in Forza a whole bunch. We can tell you a bunch of the technical specs, but looking at the 904 and then looking at the 917/20, which is the Pink Pig, which is the car being used today as a portion of the PS class. Those cars are tiny. Like you don't think about it. They're so low to the ground. Like this car in particular is, Rotor said it's like a kid car. Yeah, when you get up next to you, you go, this, like the fact that people are doing like $160 in these cars, like that's scary to me because they're so small. I mean, Ted, you said like the Ferraris, their aerodynamics was based off like a cigar tube or like that was the shape. They're about that size. They're literally they're a metal cigar tube with a fuel tank in the back. Like that's really what they were. They're so like I can't emphasize enough that these cars. The fact that these guys would go close to, if not exceed, the 200-mile-an-hour barrier in these prototype cars, like a Le Mans, like.
It is a little terrifying, and I think that even holds true for the prototypes of today. I'm not sure about you guys, but when I had the opportunity to see some of the P2 cars up close when they did a experience thing at Bathurst 12 Hour, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago. Those prototype cars are terrifyingly small. You don't understand how small they are compared to the modern GT cars until you're right up close.
Sorry to jump in, but Solar has just made his pit stop, so he's on his final tank of fuel, which means Raceboy still has to pit, and this is Solar's chance to make up some ground.
No.
Sorry to interrupt, but that was a pretty important point there.
No, it is. I think I can imagine that Raceboy will be coming in soon. The Corvette's a little bit tire wear limited, so I imagine that Raceboy's tires are a little bit worn out at this point. Not that it makes a huge difference on performance, but it's one of those aesthetic things. When you see your tire wear like highlighting up to, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Front tires tend to get worn. I mean, honestly, the way I tuned this car, I think he's using my tune. I've got a little bit too much front camber on the car. I didn't change the setup for qualifying the race. But the way that the stints are being run, with the amount of time that you can, run on a stint, like it's not drastic. Once you get up to like 70% wear, like the car will definitely get slower. But at like 40, 50%, it really doesn't matter that much. So I'm sure that he's going to be pitting soon. He's got 29% fuel, so that car uses about 5 to 5.5 a lap. So I mean, he could run a couple more laps, but if Solar just came in the pits, you don't want to give anyone the chance to try to do the undercut. So I'm mad he's going to come in now.
And to that end,
that would be the wise decision. Although in saying that, there is a fair amount of clean air ahead of Raceboy, whereas Solar came out in a bit of a group. So it does look like he has something to the pit. This will be very interesting.
There's a big battle on track there. We'll jump to that real quick.
Whoa, he had to come in a little bit wide.
Yeah, that was a real dive into the pits.
Yeah, that was a little bit scary. So we're going to see where he ends up here. I think this is going to be really close on exit. It depends on how close Solo wants to get battle and prototype right here.
We'll jump back to that as soon as we see Raceboy come out of pits, because they're going to be together for a while. Solar is going to be about 2 seconds back, so that's that mystery solved. Jumping back to Sparks.
Good stuff right there.
So this
nice.
is Sparks and Floofy, correct?
No, it's Sparks and PXM Karts.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah, it's alright.
So, look at that. Look at the wiggle on the brake from Sparks there.
So
I'm a little bit late commenting on it still.
So Sparks driving the SVR. Alright, I want to say this right this time, so let me actually check the entry list. Sparks is driving the SVR red car, which is actually a rainbow inverted, and a Ferrari, chasing down Karts, who's driving a Phoenix car, which is actually an AMR car. Everybody got that straight?
No.
Perfect. Alright, so Karts is a driver that was on the Honor Courage Commitment Racing team as of a couple months ago. He's since made the switch to Phoenix Motorsport, led by Twisted. He's posting P-Lobby stints for us. Can't do that too many times with Sparks. That's a naughty cut there.
Wham!
Indeed. So these two are going to be fighting it out for 4th position. They probably have to pit at least one more time, just going off of the amount of fuel in their cars.
looks like the suspension on that SVR 330 is a little bit soft, or maybe it's just the car just decided to porpoise its way down the straights and into the corners. Because when he upshifted, there was a very noticeable. The car, the front end was like bouncing up and down. You can see it when he's coming through 17. The car is going dung dung dung.
I don't think I've ever thought of a car as going dung dung dung. Ever.
Well,
I think
now,
that's the best way to explain these cars.
Oh no, they're catching the GT leader. This is gonna get messy.
well, Karts has already not made friends with people in the GT class, so I imagine that I would hope he's a little more careful this time. I know they're battling, but
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, this is.
Oh no!
Oh, heck,
They're going
heck,
3 wide.
I'm sorry. This is a heckin' moment here.
All right, well they got around
they-
cleanly, so
And Sparks did get that position as well.
I think.
Not yet.
No,
Attaboy,
this
Karts.
is-
Yes.
This is bad.
Make it happen.
Big
is
man.
Oh, this is bad. This is good.
Oh my god.
Okay.
That was brilliant from
Cooler heads prevailed there. I'm really glad that Karts backed out of that and then tried to. Why did you even get to this? You just launched yourself so much time.
That was
At this
awesome.
point, we should now point out that Karts is only 15,
Wow.
and he's
Man, imagine having that much time again.
Savage.
right. So Karts is doing a pretty good job here in the Dr. Deluxe painted AMR Phoenix Hybrid Ford GT. That's a long description.
Sponsored by Goodies Headache Powder Viagra. I mean, what else you want? Sorry, I just broke. I'm sorry, I just broke all over the stream. I'm gonna stay
All
quiet
right,
for a
Diablo
minute.
is banned now. So Karts is going to run off into the sunset. Let's check on Floofy to see if he's closed down that gap.
Hey, good pun. They're going to the sunset bed. Sorry. Back
Oh
to-
my
Thank you.
god.
So, oh wow. All right. So Floofy may have made his final pit. Yes, he has. So he's good to the end, which is probably why he is now a half lap behind the leader. And we mentioned earlier that those two front cars were going to be faster. Floofy was also in the 56s, and he's a half lap down right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big difference between qualifying and race pace. All I will
Yep.
say.
It's all about consistency in racing.
Well, I mean, there's a huge difference. There is a number of people, and not wanting to name names, but there's a significant number of people that race that can go out and on a hot lap board hit, let's say, let's use the prototypes. They'll hit a 56. Not saying anyone in this race in particular, but there's people that'll go out and they can run X time, and then they get in the race and they are just nowhere near it. The consistency's not there. To run that, there's people even at the Forza RC level that can run, a top time, and then they get in the race and you go, well, what happened? I see here that people are discussing the fact that there are young racers within the Forza community. GG Racing, I thought Karts was 5. Well, I thought it was 3.
So I think you know what to say now.
Shut up, GG, before we ban
That's
you.
not what we were going to say at all. That's not nice. Dabble was also quoting chat just there.
Yeah, sorry, that was a quote. I wouldn't want to tweet that and get misquoted. Sorry. I got
Should I
Anyway.
put that?
Sorry,
put
that
meme
was
in chat?
okay. Sorry, that's a bit too soon. I'm just not putting anything else.
All right, just jumping back into the land of reality here. Mitch might actually make his pit stop now with about 10 minutes remaining. He has another pit stop to do, unless he did it earlier and just checked out on everybody, which is also possible.
Not this time. Bye.
Yeah. There's about 10-15 minutes left in the stint, so there is some time to get that done. But just look at that gap between Mitch and Mellish. Mitch is going into turn 2 already, and Mellish is not even in sunset yet. That is amazing.
That's easily a pit stop in hand. And if
Yeah.
he's done that gap organically just by driving consistent lap times, that is a huge win. That would be like a 1 or 2 mile gap by the end of the stint.
And that is something that would not be surprising. It is Mitch, so he can do that. He's got the skills. Alright, let's see if that battle for the second place in GT is tightened up anymore. Solar chasing Raceboy. Answer is no. If anything, Raceboy has gained a little bit of time. That'll make Diablo happy.
Indeed.
Thank you for confirming. So Solar's got about 2.5 seconds of gap to catch up on Raceboy there.
And who was just behind that battle as well?
It was,
Was it?
it was the GRT. Yeah, it was a GRT car. He was a little ways back. He's definitely lost a little bit of ground.
Yeah. And he's already got a win under his belt in this month alone at TORA competition. Under the gamertag AMS Ballistic, he won the task car race in Sonoma by a pretty good margin.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah, it's Maximus.
Oh.
Yeah, Maximus, who then became Ballistic, who is now Max Stream, who then just got ran into by MRT Deadline.
I did not know that. Yeah, see, I was just like, because I was like, who is this person and how did they? I mean, kudos. I mean, he's driving really well. I just did not know who that was. I think Maximus is a person that has had good results as of late. Now that I realize the lineage of, I try to pay attention to people's gamer tags and such, but there's some people I don't do as much league racing as I used to, so I can't. It's hard to judge. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's been a lot of changes in the last year, 2 years of people going to this team and that team. I mean, even myself, with FRH becoming Lazarus. I mean, there's a lot of changes to try to keep up with.
Diablo, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to interrupt you. Mitch has made his final pit, and Mellish is still in Sunset. Mitch is now out of the pits, and he's got the whole front straight on Mellish.
I could have told you that without looking at the screen.
Well, yeah, but it's nice to have visuals. Gosh.
Guys,
yeah. Sarcasm. It's sarcasm. It's all
the sarcasm. All right, so that's going to give Mitch about an 8 or 9 second.
I'm going to interrupt you now. B Lobby GT lead. Let's fly just DC with 19 minutes left.
No.
No.
Well,
is that one of your teams?
No, that would be the German racing team car entry. That is really unfortunate. This is their first TORA endurance race under that moniker, and that sucks. But the lagout rule, he's only going to lose about maybe 5 miles, so not going to be too bad.
19 minutes left.
Well,
he's gonna lose like
miles.
2 to 3 laps.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'll lose 5 minutes of race time.
Yeah, and that's totally something you can recover in over 12 hours. It's just going to put them a little bit on the back foot. So sucks to see, but not unprecedented.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
You do. Actually, you genuinely do. Lagouts have for a long time plagued Forza Online racing. I'm glad that TORA, because there was a point where there wasn't a lagout rule. It makes it so, and I'm not bringing the debate back up about a lagout rule because that's something entirely contested in the community. I already made my opinion known. But it's nice to see, teams having a bit of a chance to try to claw back, because what would often happen in these races when there was a lag out and there was no rule, right? It's not like a mechanical where, like, if you get a flat tire or something, you kind of, run around to the pits. You might lose a lap or two. On a lag out, you can't, when you lag, you can't drive back to the pits. Like, your car is toast until the end of that stint.
Whoa! Sorry, just
I see
something
that.
weird looking there. Karts almost ran into the pit wall there to try to get around Incinerate, and then didn't actually go for the move. But then he got him anyway.
Yeah, I think it was just being a bit patient, because once Incinerate got on the grass there, it was a little easier to make that move.
Yeah.
I agree, Diablo, with that assessment of the lag out rule. It does mean that you don't see teams who lag out in Stint 1 and just kind of bail from the rest of the event, because the last thing you want is to do all that prep and then have something kill your race.
The problem that you have is that because you can't get towed back, you can't, like, once you lag out, like, let's say you lag out in like 10 minutes into a stint, right? You lose approximately 30 minutes on track. It's not to say that, like in IMSA, there's points to be had, right? There's points to be made for continuing on to the race and like making it. This is a one-off race.
Well,
so
not on IMSA, because you get points for just turning up, basically. As soon as you take the
well,
start,
is it WEC? There's like a minute. Isn't there like a minimum participation?
You
I
have
know
to
Le
complete
Mans.
70% of the leader's overall distance to be classified, and if you're not classified, you don't get any points.
Right, exactly. So like, I guess my point is for a one-off race like this, right? Like, it's not a series. If you lag out like super early and you lose like 40 miles, like, I would sit there and go, well, unless you want to go race in a stint with other people, like, that would be the only reason to continue racing, because you're gonna finish. Like, there's just nothing. It's not like, we talked about it a little bit. When there's lag out rules at some of the larger tracks, like Le Mans, where there's a bigger time spread, you can gain that time back, or like the Nürburgring, where the pace differential is massive, right? You can make that time back up. It is not unheard of to make up 10 to 15 miles for 2 stints. It's because a lap is about 16 miles. If you make a big mistake at the Nürburgring, yeah, it's.
Imagine making a mistake on the Nürburgring and the GT circuit, having to go around 21 kilometers, or however much that is in miles.
I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've also seen. I don't remember. I think it was Jack Shine that's TOR law that ran out of fuel in a race just under the Bilstein Bridge and didn't make it to the pit lane. I'm pretty sure I think that was back in the days of when you had the Ultimate Racing Network. I'm pretty sure that was him that did it. It might have been. I think it was him, because he was so, he ran out going under the. He ran out before he got to the Bilstein Bridge. Don't get me wrong, but he got up the hill. Or he went down the hill and started going back up, and he wasn't close enough. He ended up having to quit out because he literally couldn't move his car. Because he'd completely run out of gas. It was just one of those things where you're like... that was the time when running 4 laps around the combined Nordschleife was pretty tough.
Alright, so we're just gonna jump back to the present day here. There is a lack of battles happening on track right now. Everybody's pretty spread out at the end here, so we're going to keep riding on board with Karts as he tries to chase down Sparks for the 4th position in PS. I think all these guys are good to go in the end. Incinerate's just back there a little bit, cutting the track by a country mile there. So,
we are only about 10 minutes or less than away from the end of the stint, so it makes a bit of sense to see that everyone's sort of spread out. I think with the TORA endurance rules the way they are, it's almost more important to run your own race regardless of what everyone else is doing, because you get tallied up distance, right? So if you get stuck behind someone, it's almost better off hitting and getting into clear air and focusing on your own stuff instead of trying to get into a battle for position. I mean, unless you need that good old ego stroke. As Karts thinks about going up the inside and does get the move on the GT car in turn 1.
This time, Mead did see that Karts was there and held his vector. Alright, so there's about 5 minutes left here, and Mitch has lapped every single person in this race except for Mellish and Floofy. Everybody else has lost a lap to Mitch, at least.
That's
there you have it, folks.
There's a list of adjectives there. Incredible, amazing. Some other ones filled with curse words.
Scary.
That's quite something. I've seen people do this before in different classes, but it was like a Nürburgring race where you can lose that amount of time. Not like this. This is Sebring, it's 17 turns, 3.7 miles. To lap everybody except for 30 in your own class.
In the top
yeah,
split.
that's we might have. I'm not calling it yet, but I don't remember what the largest. I'd have to go back to the old results to see. But I wonder what the biggest margin of victory is in a class, because these guys might be.
It'd be close.
Yeah, I know that I was part of a touring car team that won by like 3 laps the ring, and I don't know if that's. I mean, these guys are on pace right now to be very close to it. If they're running that sort of performance.
Just to interrupt you, the battle for, I think that's 3rd in prototype was just. Oh, sorry, not 3rd. This is between Karts and Sparks.
Yeah,
It's
this
just
is
gone
4th.
through GT 2nd place, and it's really cramped up now because of that. Trying to lap the car through Sunset Bend, and it looks like Karts might be able to make a bit of a strike back at Sparks very soon.
And I can now
there's another car right in the back there as well.
I can now confirm we have about 2.5 minutes left in the stint. Just checked on Solar's point of view. He did get his video back for anyone wondering.
Sweet.
Oh, this is really close.
And who's that there in 5th place as well?
Karts was in 5th place. That's who we were riding on board with.
Okay.
So I'm actually not sure who that 3rd car was. Let's figure that out. So that's going to
Looks
be
like they're
Mellish,
walking.
actually, putting a lap on these two guys in second position.
Oh god.
And again,
Wow.
we're not in any way saying that the other drivers are slow. It's just that these top 2 or 3 guys are just that much faster, just with consistency. Oh wow!
The problem here is Mellish is not going to want to try to get involved with these guys battling.
Very
looks
good
like
from
Carson.
Carts there. Great work from Carts.
Yeah, well, I think he just put the nail in his own coffin to try to pass.
Sparks.
Yeah, he just put the nail in his own. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. That
All right.
is not something I would have expected to happen.
That
If I
was-
was Sparks, I would have been like, "You want to let him by? Thanks. I'm gonna take the gap. See ya."
And these
Sorry,
two
I'm-
were
I'm
probably
savage.
talking to each other in the party as well. So that was probably communicated. Oh, where
Oh no!
Oh,
Oh,
where'd he go? Oh no,
He just lagged out.
he's gone. Sparks has
Wow.
disconnected with
that
like
is
2
big.
minutes left.
So they're
Ah.
gonna lose. They're
lose
gonna
like
lose
nothing.
a good chunk of time. That's
They might lose half a lap with only
press
2
F.
minutes.
Press
They'd lose 30
press
seconds.
F to pay respects. That's just.
Yeah, wow.
I have not seen that live on stream like that in a long time. That is just wow. Yeah.
That
So
is.
he's gonna lose.
Ah.
He's gonna lose about.
He's going to lose 30 seconds of race time, which
He's
might
gonna lose about a mile and a half.
Yeah, that's not going to be too bad though, because I think over the whole race, that car might be a little quicker than this AMR Phoenix car, but it's still going to sting.
Yeah, but it does mean that Carts has the advantage of being able to run unimpeded by the SVR red car, which is actually black.
Kind of rainbowish color. Kind of.
Yeah,
Kinda, yeah.
competitive.
Mile and a half is absolutely fine. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the one thing about this track. It's not like Daytona was so hard to make up time because you approximately have like 3 corners or like 5 or 6 corners you actually have to brake for. Like the spread of the field was really small there. So if you lost, like a few miles, it was tough to make up. Whereas here,
Stint's over.
you can.
And here we are. Stint's over.
All right, so that's
yeah.
that's it.
So he
sorry,
lost.
Dustin.
He literally lost like half of the lap. So it'll actually only lose.
If that.
And
Yeah.
he's going
Awesome.
to get 75% of that back, so he'll only lose like.
He'll be
half the time.
that's if you're gonna lag out, that is the moment to do it.
And just to interrupt, because I am racing the next stint, just going to do a quick run through of the finishing order, and then I'm going to skedaddle, so I have to do my double. So first place, Williams Mitch. Second place, Mellish. Third position, SVR Floofy. Fourth, PXM Carts. A little bit banged up there. Fifth, SVR Incinerates. Sixth, Terminator. Seventh, LCR Leopard. 8, Turismo 83, that's my car. He's in there somewhere, I think. 9,
Somewhere.
MRT Dadbod, and then Sparks and Yuko disconnected. Winning GT, Sauber Zoom. Second position is going to be Raceboy. Third, SVR Solar. Somewhere behind the 300s line. Fourth, GRT Max Stream.
Also somewhere.
Yeah, there he is.
There
Then,
he is.
then we have Mead, followed by Salty Boncos, MNR Scoops, Ace Captain Slow for SFM, LSCM Big Man in the 904, and rounding out the field, we've got SVR Max with Michael Smelfs from AMR disconnecting. All right, guys, so we're going to now try to transition over to what's the term we're looking for here? The stream, stint number 2 stream. So bear with us for a moment as we work out the technical transition there. So we're going to show you the track map. If your screen goes black, do make sure to stay on the page. We will be back in a few seconds. So Av, are you ready to make the switch?
I think I'm ready to make the switch.
All right, so
Ooh.
begin your stuff, and then once it confirms that you're going, I will head
All
on
right.
out. Lovely.
And we are trying to start.
While those guys are working on the technical details, I'll just say thanks for having me for the last hour or so, and I'll be back for stint 3 or 4. When am I coming back? Stint
Stint
3.
3, yeah.
With my good friend Kiwi Chris 1709, which if you know me, you probably know him. And we'll be back for that. Actually, he will be jumping on the next stint with Diablo.
Hey, Dark. We got problems.
Oh?
Wow.
OBS literally just off itself.
Oh.
Okay, okay, I got it back. Yeah, I'm trying
Alright,
to...
so again, you may see a black screen for a few seconds, but don't run away because we'll be right back. SFM Darks are signing off. Thanks again, guys, and I'll be back in Stint 4.